Wow.
Thinking about this too, so they make it like this.
Yeah.
And if we
Yes. Okay. 7 o'clock. Okay. Okay, I would now like to call the August 4th, 2026 City Council study session to order. Let's see, the live stream of this meeting can be viewed at the city's YouTube channel or on longmontpublicmedia.org/watch/ or Comcast channels 8 or 880. Can we start with roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Hidalgo Faring,
Present.
Council Member Christ,
present,
Council Member Kalkofer,
Present.
Council Member Marsing,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McCoy,
Present.
Council Member Popkin,
Here.
Council Member Prieto. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay, let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, anyone wishing on to speak at public invited to be heard will need to add their name to the list outside the council chambers. Only those on the list will be invited to speak at public invited to be heard. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. So do we have any motions from council to direct the city manager to add agenda items to future agendas? Okay, seeing none, I have a few. 5, in fact, and a request. So I've been busy. So the first motion that I'm going to make is I move to direct staff to bring back 3 options for the public safety tax ballot measure. The original one option being the original 50% property tax and 50% sales tax option. The second option would be a 60% sales tax and 40% property tax split. And a third option being what the calculations for a 70% sales tax and 30% property tax split for the ordinance coming back to council for approval next week.
Second.
Okay, so that has been made by me, seconded by Councilmember Marsing. I heard him a millisecond first. And, okay, so any question? Okay. Councilmember Christ, wait a second. Where are all my options here? Look at that. It just says mute. Here we go. Yeah, I found it now. It's like no one will be speaking tonight. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Another option that I would like to introduce, and I just sent this as a pre-session potential discussion, is to find funding for public safety.
Oh, this is not this, I'm talking about, are you wanting to amend this motion?
Yes, I'd like to have another option on there.
For voting? For like, this would be the actual ballot language. So we are voting for the ballot language. So the other options that we would elicit from staff would not need to go on the ballot. We would just discuss those. So that could be a separate motion altogether. This would be for the ballot language.
Correct. You know, it becomes a how to split the baby question. Do we want to overtax and then potentially move economics out of the city? Or do we want to increase property tax and then make housing that much more unaffordable? And so I'm wondering if there isn't yet another option
For the
that
voters
has a
to,
better balance.
for the voters to vote on?
Yes.
So any, because what I'm hearing you say is looking at other options like to ways to generate revenue outside of tax.
That is an option, but I also am aware that accounting probably has some other ideas, maybe. And I don't know. I haven't talked
Yeah.
to Teresa about this, but I know there's always a sweet spot when we're talking about numbers.
So I am not in favor
And
of
this is a little bit
amending.
prescriptive.
Yeah,
so.
and I am not in favor of amending this because I did talk to Teresa to find out what the implications are for them, their load, and their timeline. And so this language was actually revised from previous language that I had originally sent to make sure that we will be meeting deadlines to get this on the ballot and have this ready for us next week. So I will not accept that as a friendly amendment or an amendment to this motion, that active motion that I have on the table.
Well, I appreciate
Okay.
I appreciate what you're saying. Yeah. So I'm generally in favor of it. I'm just saying we may have that discussion when it comes
Yes,
back
I
to
do
us
want to
of
have
more
that
options.
discussion, but we don't need to have it on the ballot.
Okay.
So let's,
go
yes.
forward.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councilmember Marcy.
Thank you, Mayor. Very quickly, just to be very clear, your goal, and I seconded the motion because I'm in
Yeah.
favor of trying to the policy goal here.
Yes.
Just make sure that they're going to bring back 3 options with 3 written ordinances. We'll choose. We'll kind of
Yes.
rehave that conversation again next week on first.
Yes. On the consent,
on
I will
consent.
pull.
Okay,
yes,
yep,
I will
that's what I
pull the
meant, yep.
consent,
Okay.
that consent item, and we will pick which option.
And we'll have 3 different ordinances
Yes.
that based around that. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure we weren't saying ballot
Okay.
language. Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
and are there any questions on this motion? Yes, Councilmember Popkin.
Thank you, Mayor. Could you just speak a little bit more to, so the previous council direction was to bring back, I think it was a 50-50
50
split, right?
split, yeah.
Could you just speak a little bit more to your intent here with having the 3 different options for us?
Well, it's really, actually, it came out of our discussion with LEDP, and you were in that meeting, where there was concern over the property tax and the number of mills. So this is an attempt to look at other options that aren't going to be burdensome on people who own large properties or are having to pay out a large property tax.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, yep, okay, let's go ahead and vote on that one. I'm trying to show that I've, I listened. I hear you. Okay. And it looks like, I see that it carries, but it doesn't show if it carried unanimously. It did, okay, so that passes unanimously. Now on to my next one. Okay, I move to direct staff to schedule a joint meeting between the City Council, Longmont City Council, and the St. Vrain Valley Board of Education.
Second.
And that's it. That's the motion. Okay, and thank you. So that was moved by me to schedule a joint meeting with us, the City Council, and St. Vrain Board of Education, and that was seconded by Mayor Pro Tem McCoy. Okay, and any questions? I see a few. Okay. Councilmember Kalkoffer.
Thank you, Mayor. What would be on the agenda for this meeting?
We will set the agenda, so that will come, what we had done in the past is, and I can't remember, Sandy, you might want to help. I can't remember if we did it during a council meeting or there was an email, I think it was an email that went out that asked requests for agenda items. And I already have one too, if this passes.
Thank you, Mayor. Sandy Cedar, Assistant City Manager. In the past, it kind of depends who's inviting. So sometimes the school board has invited you and they have set the agenda. At
Okay, yeah.
times, we have invited them and we set the agenda. In this case, we would be inviting them. A couple of weeks before the meeting, you'll get an email from me asking for agenda items, which you're about to get for the Boulder County joint meeting, that kind of idea. And then we turn it over to them to see if they have anything they'd like to add. And then we set that agenda about a week ahead of the meeting, based on whatever you send us an email.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and we don't have to add that tonight?
No.
So, okay. So seeing no one in the queue, let's go ahead and vote. And Mayor Pro Tem seconded. Yeah, they are. Okay, and that carries unanimously. Okay, so now the next one is I move to direct staff to draft a resolution of support to the open space protections ballot measure. Okay, so that was moved by me, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem McCoy. Do we have any questions on this, or?
Thank you, Mayor. So just to understand the process here, so we had discussed language for the ballot last
Yes.
week on this.
Yes,
And so this
yes.
is a follow-up complementary motion to this? Like why is
This would be a
this necessary?
resolution to encourage, to say, you know what, City Council supports this.
Oh, this is our broader position
This is our broader
statement on this,
position,
not
so
just the
like,
ballot language. Thank you.
I think this is like in line with when we support a state, we have our legislative discussion, and we have a support. Councilmember Marcin had written up a letter of support that we all approved, so it would kind of fall in lines with something to that.
Thank you.
effect.
And then do you envision us taking a position on every ballot measure?
I have two more.
So it sounds like at least some, I
I'm
guess.
on a roll, yes.
From your
So, and
perspective.
then,
yeah.
so it's really, do we as a body want to endorse this ballot measure moving forward? To encourage residents to
Sure.
support this ballot measure. And that's what I'm posing, if we as a body want to have a resolution of support for the open space protections ballot measure.
Sure, thank you.
Uh-huh. Councilmember Prieto.
Thank you so much, Mayor. This is my first year on council,
Yes.
so just a question here. Would it be appropriate for us to take a position on something that we're bringing forth to the public
Yes.
specifically?
Yes, yeah. Oh, go ahead, Harold, I'll let you.
This is not uncommon on these types of initiatives where the council will do it, and we do it, I'm looking at Eugene, we do it before the final vote to place it on have we done that before?
Mayor and Council, Eugene May. So under the State Fair Campaign Practices Act, there are certain restrictions you can't advocate for or against after you set the ballot title.
Right.
There is a specific exemption for the governing body to take a position on a ballot measure and then distribute it by customary means, I think is the statutory language. So I think
This falls in line.
Yes,
council almost always takes
Yeah,
positions.
they typically do this, and then we take that resolution, and that's where we distribute it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else, let's go ahead and vote. Okay, and that carries 6-1 with Councilmember Christ in opposition. Okay, my fourth one is I move to direct staff to draft a resolution of support to the public safety tax ballot measure.
Second.
Okay, so that's been moved by myself, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem McCoy. It's on the tip of my tongue. Okay. So seeing no one in the queue, let's go ahead and vote on this. Yeah, thank you, thank you. I'm going to pick a random person from the audience to second this. Okay. Okay, and that carries 6-1 with Councilmember Christ in opposition. And then my final motion for tonight is I move to direct staff to draft a resolution in support of the Brighter Start Boulder County ECE ballot tax measure, or ballot measure. Do I have a second on this? Okay, so I have moved this, and Councilmember Prieto has seconded this, and Councilmember Marcin.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually have a question for our city attorney. I am assigned, and just for public edification, I am assigned member of the executive committee of Brighter Start Boulder County in a personal capacity. I'm officially on the CE, et cetera. Not that I have a personal financial stake or anything in its passage, but I am actively involved in it. My plan had been that should a presenter or anything like that come to this body and a formal resolution of support be offered, that I would recuse myself from that process because of that. Would it be appropriate to do that in this motion as well?
That would. I mean, it's up to you to determine if
Yeah.
you can be impartial or if you have a conflict.
I cannot be impartial on this ballot measure. So thank you. I will go ahead, Mayor, and recuse myself
Okay.
from this.
Okay. Sounds good. And seeing no one else in the queue? Oh, yeah, get out, get out. You Get out. Go faster, go faster. Okay. Now, seeing no one else in the queue, let's go ahead and vote. Okay, and that carries 5-1 with Councilmember Christ in opposition and Councilmember Marcin as a recusal. So So, okay. Now, this last question, come on down. This last question I have is actually for setting a date for our half-day airport visioning session. So I sat down with Jen and Sandy, and we came up with 3 half-day Saturdays that would work for staff, and now it's just up to you all to choose. One option would be August 29th. The other option would be September 12th or September 26th after those who attend the farmer's market that morning are finished. So it would be like later in the morning, around 10:30. Yes, August 29th, September 12th, and September 26th. The 26th? 29th? Oh, August 29th. I was looking at September. Yes, okay. So, Councilmember Christ?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to point out that the 29th is right after Unity in the Community, which can sometimes be a very long event.
Okay.
I'm not
Although most
here
of
on
us
the
have pretty
29th.
good stamina.
Staff, I'm going to kick it to staff.
Yeah, I'm not going to be here on the 29th. just so
29th,
you know.
okay, okay. So 12th or the 26th? Thank you for that. Councilmember Popkin?
Yep, just noting I can't do the 12th of September.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Councilmember Christ, can you do the 26th of September?
Well, I actually thought the 12th looked best, but,
Oh.
so let me look again.
Okay.
26th, there's something on the calendar then too, isn't there?
Just the farmer's market.
Oh.
The farmer's market, and
market's
that
still
would be
going on.
after the farmer's market, so it would be later in the morning.
Okay.
So it would just be shifted.
Well, let's do it the 26th then.
Okay, so 26, is there anyone who cannot make the 26th of September? And it would be a half-day.
Starting at like 11?
Starting around 11, I think the farmer's market goes from 8 to 10. Go ahead and put your mic on. Yes, Councilmember Marcin.
One request, can we actually do it at the airport? Can we do it at the FBO? If that's,
We can,
can we? I don't know, do we
I
have
don't
room
know.
for
Well,
that?
I'll talk
mean,
to
I-
Sandy and Jen and
Yeah.
Levi and see what.
Yeah, I mean,
we
I
could
don't know,
do
I just
something,
thought,
yeah.
yeah, okay, it'd be interesting, all right.
Put some pop-up tents.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, very good. Okay, it looks like the 26th after the farmer's market. Well, okay. Okay, I'm done. So, okay. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me on all these.
Did we vote?
We don't have to vote on that. It was just giving them a date. Okay, so we are now on to public invited to be heard. The first person on the list is David Hodges. And you have 3 minutes to speak.
Turn on the mic there.
Am I on? Thank you. I'm sure you all know what I'm here to talk about, but I wanted to start with talking about Axon and why it may be even a scarier proposition than Flock. In 1993, Axon was not Axon, it was Taser, and they did Tasers for 24 years until 2017 when they became Axon. And then they started buying things. They bought body cameras, which we have, I believe, a cloud that stores everything for the police. 18,000, they're in 18,000 police departments, and 85% of body cameras are Axon. They have real-time crime centers that connect, that I know it doesn't necessarily mean that we do, but the possibility is here. They connect to all cameras, grocery stores, Ring, and even Flock. That's a possibility. They bought a drone company and two 911 companies. Sorry, two 911 companies. And they also have the ability of AI to write police reports. And so you do not know what the officer wrote versus what AI wrote. And thankfully, some judges are throwing that out. And there's also the light post product, which is built directly into streetlights, so a lot harder to remove than flock. Another reason to have roundabouts versus streetlights. In 2019, Axon promised no facial recognition, but yet in 2025 started facial recognition testing. Concerning here because that is essentially one company controlling the whole legal process. From 911 call to surveillance, all the way to the court report of the case. And you can imagine we're not too far off from an AI-run facial recognition, drone paroled surveillance grid owned by one company. Not too far off from a pretty proficient movie, RoboCop. So I just ask you to really consider this, and I still think that this needs to go to the public for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Penny Hodges?
Penny Hodges here again. Not going to let this go until hopefully we get some movement. So just get ready here. This is on your bingo card. Somebody reading from a phone. I feel we're only a couple steps away from losing many of our personal freedoms, and I believe the greatest power we have as individuals is here at the local level. This is the only place where we can make a difference. And that only works if you are in representation of us as the citizens in Longmont on the city council. And we really are relying on you to hear us. But it does raise some questions. Is this really being considered, what the public wants? And with that said, I feel it's a good start, because I want other things, to get rid of the AI cameras in our city. It's clear we do not want to live in a mass surveillance city. And if you aren't willing to place that vote or to get rid of the cameras, then at least put it on the ballot so that we can vote for it. Thank you so much, and always appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Martin Orner.
Good evening, Martin Orner, 1417 Auburn Court. In the 2025 elections, the city council and mayoral candidates who won and are now sitting in front of me were council members Popkin, Kalkofer, Mayor Hidalgo Faring, Marzing, and Prito. In the interviews that the Chamber of Commerce held with several of you, I have some quotes. Crystal Prito regarding fiscal responsibility, quote, "To strengthen Longmont's economic sustainability without placing additional burdens on residents, we need to grow our local economy in ways that expand the tax base rather than raise taxes." Popkin, there was negligible information there regarding affordability here in Longmont. Kalkofer, general vision, quote, "While cutting red tape and lowering development costs, Longmont can attract and retain businesses while ensuring our workforce can live affordably nearby." Regarding fiscal responsibility, quote, "The goal is sustainable growth that funds essential services without excessive tax increases." Hidalgo Faring, regarding general vision, quote, "My top priority as mayor is keeping Longmont strong by focusing on reliable core services, resilient infrastructure, and affordability for residents," unquote. Regarding fiscal responsibility, quote, "The goal is sustainable, balanced growth that expands opportunity, funds essential services, and keeps Longmont affordable for residents and businesses." Now, regarding that Front Range connector, they're already talking about looking to raise sales taxes by 0.33%, okay? That's in the future. I am on the record as being opposed to that whole shebang. Now, not to go into the merits of the public safety tax, we're again talking about raising taxes. And these are all new city council people mostly, who I just read their quotes about affordability here in Longmont. And I don't see that those statements are being held forth as genuine before us as residents and taxpayers of this city.
Speaking, okay, thank you. Lance Whitaker. Can you change that? I don't know, the beeper is on and it's talking. I thought it was Siri. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Lance Whitaker, 1750 Collier Street. That's cute.
Yeah, go.
Longtime resident. This will not be, oh, I missed it. That won't be our flag because I missed the deadline.
Oh, bummer.
I know, I thought it was the 7th and it was the 27th. Oh, well. Better fish to fry, I guess. All right, today is National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. You gotta have those. National Night Out Day. National Coast Guard Day. It is Billy Bob Thornton, Barack Obama, and Jeff Gordon's birthday all today. So I don't know what you want to make of that. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Meg Thornbury.
Hello, my name is Meg Thornberry. I'm here with Visible Government League, and if you didn't get a bingo card from me, if you check our social media, I have a link to it posted there. It's just a little fun way to help keep things fun during the meeting. It is a little bit like a teacher's tool to keep people paying attention in class, but it's fun because, you know, these things can go for a long time. So there's no prizes at the moment. If you want to offer a prize, cool. But please come join with us. You know, we're going to be here, so we might as well have some fun. We are also having our Visible Government League social this upcoming Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. at St. Vrain Cidery. Come join us there. We'll be doing some more education about ways that you can update your data settings to protect your privacy, to reduce your footprint, and to protect others around you. Please feel free to bring your technology with you. So bring your laptop, bring your phone, do the things. We are going to try to help you do it right there, right then, personally, because I'm a procrastinator and this is the only way I'm going to actually do it. So please come join us. We're really looking forward to it. You will not see me again next week because I will be out of town, but I did want to share some things from a perspective about the public safety tax. And my request is that when it comes to the budgeting, I want public safety to reconsider their structuring of these roles to emphasize preventative services. And I wanted to bring up the STAR program in Denver that has had an incredible success rate, and it does not involve the police at all. And so for the point of, well, we want the core team, but we have to send an officer out with everyone, there's an alternative system that does not involve officers. So if we're looking at cost-saving measures and we're saying that we don't have enough money to hire more officers, I would suggest switching to a program similar to the STAR program in Denver. And just so you know, they primarily respond to the lower risk cases, so such as somebody who is on the streets with homelessness or drug use, somebody experiencing a mental health crisis without weapons, more of that lower caliber, but very important to have someone there responding. And it turns out that having somebody who is there specifically to de-escalate situations really makes a difference. And unfortunately, the way that our police are currently trained is only to escalate. That's just structurally how it works, and it's, we working with what we got. I think this is an excellent alternative because they've responded to 8,000 calls that would have been otherwise responded to by the police, and only 41%, not even 41%, 41%. Sorry, it's really good stats. Okay.
Thank you. Scott Stewart?
I had to turn in my bingo card.
Already? Wow.
I already got it. Bingo. Scott Stewart, 229 Grant Street. Hey, I think you all probably got the notification. We did have a plane that wasn't able to make it back to the runway today. This is like, what, fourth one in 12 months? It would be nice if there was some kind of recording of that at the airport. Since it didn't happen on the airport property, I doubt you're going to see it in the airport's records. Short-term rentals. There was a gentleman here about a year ago. His name was Huck, and Huck was trying to get an ADU in his backyard that he could use as a short-term rental, but we didn't allow it. I'd like to talk a little bit, because you guys are going to talk about the film festival and short-term rentals. By allowing short-term rentals on non-occupied homes, you're creating a barrier to home ownership. You're putting investors in direct competition with first-time home buyers. An investor that goes for a single-family home, these smaller ones that are actually affordable, they become unaffordable when an investor looks at it from a short-term rental standpoint. If you can get $4,000 a month from a short-term rental, that house is worth more. Now all of a sudden you can't buy it if you're a single-family homeowner or a single first-time home buyer, because you're in competition with an investor. I'm an investor. I don't do short-term rentals because I don't think it's right. If I want to rent my house out, that's a different story. If I want to rent a room out in my house, that's a different story. If I want to rent out the entire house because I'm going on vacation for 2 weeks, that's fine. But to allow somebody to buy a home that's not going to put a long-term tenant in it and is going to do it for profit, and they don't live in the neighborhood, the best part about Longmont is their neighborhoods. I mean, we just had a block party down the street from one of our council members' homes, and the best part about it is meeting your neighbors. Not meeting somebody that's here for a week because they got a deal on a short-term rental. So be really cautious on what you're doing here. And I would encourage you to allow short-term rentals, but only do it in owner-occupied properties where you have an investment in that neighborhood and you care about that. It's not this remote thing that doesn't matter, and it's just on the balance sheet for profit. So investors, they buy homes, they allow people to live in them long term. That's the way to go. This short term thing, 10 years from now, are we going to have a housing shortage because people realize that short term rentals in Longmont are quite profitable, and they are quite profitable. But make it on somebody's property. If you want ADUs being built as short-term rentals, make it on their property. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, so that concludes public invited to be heard. So now we're on to special reports and presentations. We have Front Range Community College summer internship presentations, and Caleb, can you repeat your last name? When you get up there from Human Resources.
Severkroop.
Severkroop.
Sounds much easier than it looks.
Yeah.
So Mayor, members of council, my name is Caleb Severkroop. I work for the city in the Human Resources Department as a Human Resources Coordinator. This is a role that I started in 2023, and tonight is one of my favorite parts of my job that happens every year. So back when I started in this role in 2023, a big part of my role was developing and supporting internships in the city. And it could not have been more than a week or two into my role, I got to meet with, at the time, Councilmember Shakita Yarborough. And she had already kind of formulated this really brilliant plan to engage college students. I don't want to speak for her and go into all the details, but the short version of it is that there's really a gap for college students looking in careers in local government. Even talking, I attend a lot of job fairs on behalf of the city to recruit for our positions, and a lot of students either don't really know what kind of jobs there are. They think there's only a small subset of types of things you can do while working for a municipality. And Shakita really wanted to address that gap. So with the support of council, this internship program was created where we get applicants from Front Range Community College to apply, interview, and then come in and spend the summer working in the city, working in departments that are relevant to what they're studying, what kind of career that they're interested in. This is now our 4th summer that we have done this program. Starting from, I'll just say at the very beginning, there was a lot of trying to get the word out, trying to get applicants. And this summer we had over 50 students apply for this internship. So the 5 students here that are going to speak tonight are in a very high caliber of students. So I don't want to do too much more yammering because I really want them to get to present. So they're each going to present about their experience and their observations this summer.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members, and everyone. My name is Daniel Mendivil. This summer, I completed my Associate of Applied Science and Programming at Front Range Community College, and I also had the opportunity to intern with Nextlight. I've always been interested in technology because I grew up seeing how much we depend on it every day. It made me curious about what happened behind the scene. For example, what actually happens when you open a website? Why do so many apps only work when you're connected to the internet? And how all those systems work together to make everything happen. Those are the kinds of questions that made me want to learn more about software, systems, and network. That's why I decided to study programming. My goal is to continue building my skills, gain more hands-on experience, and keep learning as I start my career in technology. Today, I'd like to share what I work on, what I learned, and how it helped me grow. When I started my internship at Nextlight, I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew I wanted to learn more about networking and technology, but I quickly realized this internship will give me much more than I imagined. After meeting everyone on my first day and introducing myself, I walked into the data center for the first time. I remember looking around and thinking, what is all of this? Everywhere I looked, there were racks full of equipment, flashing lights, and cables. I had no idea what any of it did. And honestly, it was a little intimidating at first. That was the moment I realized it wasn't just another school project or lab assignment. It was a real infrastructure. This equipment wasn't sitting in the classroom. It was part of the network that provides internet server to 1,000 of people in our community every day. Thanks to everyone who took the time to teach me, something that looks confusing on my first day became something I could understand. By the end of the internship, I was able to recognize the different equipment, understand what many of the cables were for, and see how everything works together to keep the network running. One of the best parts of this internship was getting to learn from different teams across Nextlight. Instead of staying in one area, I got to see how many people work together every day. Everyone here has probably used the internet today. Before this internship, I never really thought about everything that happens to make that possible. Whether it was the network operations center, the data center, or the field technicians, everything had a different role but the same goal, providing high-level service for our community. What impressed me the most wasn't the technology, it was the teamwork behind it. The biggest surprise for me was realizing how much teamwork goes into something that seems so simple. Before this internship, I thought connecting a new customer was probably a quick process. I learned that it actually takes engineers, technicians, and data center all working together. That completely changed the way I see the technology. What looks simple from the outside is really the result of many people working together. Looking back, I learned much more than I expected this summer. I learned about networking and technology, but I also learned how important teamwork is. This experience showed me that technology isn't just about equipment. At the end of the day, it's about helping people in making the difference in the community. It also gave me the confidence that this is the career I want to pursue. I'm grateful for everything I learned, and I'm excited to continue building my skills and hopefully give back to my community in the future. Before this summer, I knew I wanted to work in technology. Now I can actually picture myself doing it. Seeing how the different teams work together made me even more excited about the future, and it confirmed I'm on the path I want to follow. I'd like to thank everyone at Nextlight to taking the time to teach me, answer my question, and support me throughout the summer. I'd also like to thank the City of Longmont for making opportunities like this possible. Every student needs someone to give them their first opportunity to learn and grow, and I can't think of a better place to begin than in your own community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so before writing this speech, I was assured by Caleb that there would be no trapdoor that would open up beneath me if I went on for too long. So
It's like, I do have a button back here. I do have a button
yeah,
back here.
well, if that happens, please say your time is up.
Oh, okay.
So no apostrophe. Okay, so hello and thank you for this opportunity to speak today. My name is Zach Isley, and I'm an accounting student from Front Range Community College. Over the summer, I worked in the procurement department. My project was to evaluate the local preference policy. Most of my time was spent running reports and analyzing data. After celebrating being selected for the program, I came to my first day and took a tour around the city. One of the most notable parts of my day was that I met Valerie, my supervisor. We talked extensively about the direction of the project and a rough outline of the steps to follow. What stood out to me most was when she said, "I want you to make this project your own." For the next few days, I would sit outside on my patio and think about the project. Many of the relevant theoretical concepts I'd already covered in my Front Range education. Coming into the office for the first time, my task was to build upon this foundation. I went to research local preference and the economic legitimacy of that approach. The literature was dense, and recalling what I mentioned to Valerie, quote, "I have a newfound respect for economists." Regardless of the difficulty of building my knowledge base, I never felt lost. Before I entered this internship, I did not even know what procurement was. Looking back on this, I find it humorous to enter a department without knowing what they do. Over the summer, I went from zero knowledge to enough knowledge to execute the breadth of my project and find important information for the city at large. Researching content and self-education can have drawbacks, one of which is Dunning-Kruger-esque situations. Every week and sometimes every day, I would meet with Valerie to discuss what I had learned and the direction that I was heading. Working with her made the internship unforgettable, and each meeting revealed more of what I needed to learn. I would then fill those gaps. The rhythm of synthesis and deconstruction became the engine for my momentum. As I progressed, the scale of my findings increased. When what started as a simple policy evaluation grew into a fairly comprehensive analysis of Longmont's purchasing. Understanding the here came first, but eventually I moved to the there, the nature of which was theoretical. One day, Valerie came to me and asked if I would attend a meeting with her. We walked into Nikki's office down the hall. I'd met Nikki on the first day, but my work was data-focused, so I hadn't been very social. At that point, I was exploring how to target the local economy through pre-approved vendor lists. During the meeting, I discovered that Nikki was already working on a proof of concept for exactly that approach, something that I would later find deep significance in. I learned here the value of collaboration and also the importance of individual motivation/creativity in government. Many times, especially recently, I've heard about how amazing our public servants are. They're described as creative and hardworking and one of a kind. My experiences working in the procurement office have convinced me that this is true. To be accepted in this internship, I told Caleb what I saw in government. I spoke of wanting to work in the public sector, applying creativity with more flexibility, focusing on outcomes that serve the community beyond profit alone. I was delighted to find this thinking permeating the city of Longmont and embodied through my coworkers' projects. I want to end this speech with the story of Cowboy the dog and how he alleviated my young adult existentialism. Something I've come to terms with in college is that learning skills is only one side. The application of these skills is just as important. I find that often I'm left feeling ambiguous in my choice of major because I lacked opportunity to express the skills I learned. Making a 4-year-plus devotion is difficult without applicative clarity. I came into this internship with that problem. This summer, on a random Friday, I was sitting in my office going through a large data set. I was motivated and working diligently until, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a big dog. I audibly gasped with excitement. Nikki, who owns the dog, must have heard me because she brought him right into my office. For the next little bit, I pet him joyfully. I learned his name is Cowboy, and he comes to the office on Fridays. I worked on Fridays, so at the end of the week, I entered the office with a smile, anticipating some time petting Cowboy. A few weeks later, on a Friday, I walked into the office happy, put my backpack in my office, and walked over to Nikki's office to see Cowboy. From down the hall, I could see the lights were off, and upon approach, the office was cowboyless. I felt disappointed. I stood in the hallway coping with my realization, but how I coped surprised me. Thinking to myself, I said, "This really is a sad day, but look on the bright side. At least I get to go back to my Excel data sheets." Looking back on it, that was the day I undoubtedly became a full-fledged accounting major. Thank you to the City of Longmont for instituting this opportunity and all the individuals that made it unique.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council Member. My name is Olivia Selby. I'm a first-gen student at Front Range Community College, and I wanted to share my experience this summer and how much this internship has impacted me. I wanted to share how plans don't always work out the way that we expect them to. Change is inevitable. It happens in life, and it's not something that we can predict, and oftentimes it can be the best thing that has happened to us. Throughout my journey in school, I have struggled greatly with knowing what I wanted to pursue. I switched from psychology to architecture, and I considered switching to engineering. During this internship, I realized that none of this is for me, and that was probably the best thing that I could have realized. I realized how creative I am. I realized how much I do enjoy working with people during this internship. I realized that I have a vision for my future, and it's not the vision that I had initially. Initially, I wanted to work in city planning, and after a meeting, I saw that it wasn't something that I just saw myself doing. I love being creative, and I love to express my creativity through art. Through this internship, I realized how much I want to pursue art. I realized that change is great for my art, just because I like when things change, and I like, creativity. I'm so happy that I was able to do this internship. I'm so grateful that we had this opportunity, and I'm so grateful to you guys and to this program. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a very cool perspective, and we do have Eric Mason from the museum here, and we have our Arts in Public Places, so don't write out the city yet. We have pathways.
Do I have to click through it?
Yes, well, you have this if you prefer it, or you can use this.
Just do these.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, the mouse, remote, or the arrows.
Perfect, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kaylin Ortiz Zambrano, and today I'm excited to share a summary of my internship journey with the City of Longmont. To give a quick background on myself, I am currently majoring in sociology with a concentration in criminology and criminal justice at Colorado State University, previously Front Range. My long-term career goal is to work in the legal field and make a positive impact in my community. Over the summer, I had the privilege of serving as an intern with the City of Longmont. During my 3-month-long internship, I was placed with the Neighborhood and Community Resources Department, specifically in the Community Relations Division. This placement provided me with the opportunity to gain hands-on experience working alongside professionals dedicated to serving the Longmont community. To better understand my role, it's first important to understand the community relations work. Their work generally falls into 4 categories: eviction navigation, conflict resolution and facilitation, resource navigation, and housing and education and outreach. Although they all serve a different purpose, they all share the same goal of helping residents navigate conflict, improve communication, and helping find available resources. During my internship, I supported the community relations team in a variety of ways. My responsibilities included connecting with clients, resources, supporting housing retention and eviction prevention efforts, participating in community outreach, assisting with housing education events, and observing court-connected mediation proceedings. One of the key outreach initiatives I was involved with was the Landlord-Tenant Alliance, or LTA. LTA is a monthly education series the community relations teams hosts with Longmont Police Department's crime-free housing program. Its goal is to bring landlords, tenants, property managers, and residents together to learn about housing topics and local resources. During these events, I managed setup, checked in attendees, and distributed educational materials. Seeing these groups collaborate showed me how education can prevent misunderstanding and build stronger community relationships before conflicts arise. Another important part of my internship was supporting eviction court outreach. Before each court date, I contacted individuals on the eviction docket to let them know about mediation services, rental assistance, and other resources available through community relations. I also attended eviction court every Friday, where I observed court-connected mediations. Watching mediators work with landlords and tenants gave me a first-hand insight on how early intervention and open communication can help resolve conflicts before they arise. In addition to housing and court outreach, I also engaged with the community through events such as the Be Loved community event. These outreach opportunities allowed us to connect directly with residents, answer questions, and share information about the City of Longmont's programs, services, and available resources. It was a great opportunity to help community members connect with resources that could help benefit them. Looking back at my internship, it has been an incredible learning experience. I've gained a better understanding of conflict resolution, housing stability, and what it means to serve the community through public service. I want to sincerely thank Jasmine, Vanessa, and the entire community and neighborhood resources team for their guidance, support, and for making this such a valuable experience. Thank you for listening.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. My name is Aubrey Jones, a sophomore at Front Range Community College studying business. I hope to transfer to one of the nearby universities and pursue a degree in operations management within the next year. This summer, I had the opportunity to intern in the project management office under the supervision of Raven Martin, the PMO manager, and Brenda Borgona, an administrative analyst. My project focus for the summer has been learning about the project closeout process and how it applies to CIP, technology, and administrative projects. A little bit about the Project Management Office. It was created in April 2024 as a means to standardize processes within the city. Since we didn't have a PMO, teams have developed their own processes organically, but they are not standardized across teams. The PMO provides consultation on projects and portfolios, hosts bi-weekly community of practice, and provides project management training throughout the organization, amongst many other things. The PMO has created a SharePoint project charter and closeout repository to make viewing the status of projects easily accessible to everyone within the organization. By providing these tools and guidelines, it helps project managers consistently apply the best practices during the project closeout process. Through the PMO, I have learned that the project closeout phase is essential for ensuring project success by capturing lessons learned, verifying deliverables, and formalizing completion. It also helps collect high-level initiation and closeout documents, including final budget and delivery variances. Some common obstacles that project managers face are time constraints. Tight deadlines pressure project managers, often leading to rushed or incomplete project closeouts, as well as inconsistent closeout procedures. The lack of a standardized procedure creates inconsistency during closeout, including duplicating effort by saving documents in multiple locations with different retention policies, limited permission to view files, and unsearchable documents due to lack of standardized naming conventions. Standardizing documentation is important because it guarantees compliance with organizational and regulatory requirements while making information accessible. It also supports transparency and facilitates audits. What I did for the project closeout process as part of my internship was review and analyze existing documents like division-specific closeout checklists. I also conducted stakeholder interviews. I got to speak to a variety of stakeholders, which ensured that I gathered a broad range of insights and perspectives, because it is important to understand and balance multiple stakeholder concerns. These conversations revealed specific challenges unique to different project backgrounds and contexts. This helped uncover best practices to improve outcomes that can be adopted across different types of projects. In addition to reviewing existing documentation and conducting stakeholder interviews, as part of this internship, I helped develop closeout checklists, standardized operating procedures, a closeout communication plan, and a change management plan for the PMO when they're ready to roll out new standardized processes and training. The PMO is developing a training program to be launched this fall to standardize processes and documentation. This will encourage lasting project closeout processes. In addition to the project closeout deliverables mentioned previously, what I learned in this internship about project management was how to initiate a project successfully through creating a project charter, creating a stakeholder analysis and a risk register, as well as completing project closeout documentation. I better understand why standardizing the project closeout process is vital for ensuring project success, compliance, and knowledge retention. By analyzing current practices, defining clear goals, refining processes, and building sustainable knowledge management, organizations can achieve efficient and effective project closures. I feel this internship has helped further my understanding of project management principles and will certainly give me an edge in my future career in operations management. Thank you very much, everyone.
Before I close this out, I did want to give the opportunity to Mayor and Council if you had any questions for specific individual or for the group as a whole. I wanted to give you guys that opportunity.
Okay, is there anyone from council who has any comments, questions? No? Oh yeah, there you go, Councilmember Kalkofer.
Thank you, Mayor. Really appreciated all the presentations. I know it's end of the summer, and I hope that you'll keep an eye on jobs that the city offers, because we would love to have you back. Thank you so much for spending the summer with us.
Councilmember Popkin.
Thank you. I did have a question for anyone who wants to answer this of those who presented. What's something you learned about the city that you want others who are in this room and watching to understand about what you learned? It can be on the topic you presented, or it can be on just part of your experience.
Okay, so the amount of things that the city can do if we have the employee throughput to do them is honestly beyond most people's imagination. There are strategies that we can take that can change the way that we think about the local economy or change the way that we think about government as a whole. How we get from here to there is with people that are inspired and creative. And I hope more people in this room can see them in that. And hopefully some of us interns can be the new generation of people that stand up to implement some of those changes.
Yes.
Thanks. I'm glad Cowboy taught you that.
Okay. Councilmember Prieto.
I just want to thank all of you for your contributions to the city and the work that you did. Sound like you were helping with processes, and I mean, like that's huge, you know, especially when we have staff that are like on the go every day. Those are the little things that we always want to get to, but we can't, and having that extra help goes very far and helps so much. Or even with the community and neighborhood resources, helping families, you know, there's only so much capacity, and when people are in stress, and under a lot of pressure, just having a friendly face. And so, again, thank you for your contributions. I personally am interested and would welcome you folks, and I'm sure the rest of council as well, would, if there's any recommendations, gaps in services, ideas that you have. We don't work in the nitty-gritty, tiny little itsy-bitsy things of the everyday nuances. And so if there's something that you saw that was like, this is an easy fix, whether it be administratively, fiscal, something like that, send us an email. If we can change it up here and make it so much easier either for staff or residents every day, I would welcome that. So thank you so much.
Councilmember Marcin.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks to all of you for the really insightful presentations and, go Wolves, all that stuff. I did actually have a question kind of piggybacking on both of these, and I guess I would ask anybody directly to answer it, piggybacking on both of my colleagues. What is something that you don't think, not just anybody in this room understands about the city, but those 7 of us up here don't understand about the city or don't get, or something that we could benefit from hearing directly from somebody who's worked within the system? I know staff talks about council all the time, right? So what do we need to hear to do our jobs better and to make sure that we're effectively leading the city based on your experience? I'm asking you to stick your necks out a little bit, I understand. If you want to email me instead, that's fine. But nobody? All right,
yeah.
fine.
See, there's
I look forward to
being
your
smart.
forward to your letters. Seriously, thank you all so much for your time and for working within the city. And seriously, if you have feedback about things that you think could be working better within the city of Longmont, let us know. So,
Okay. Yeah, and I'm curious to know how many of you envision yourself after your education, path or experience, coming back, not just to Longmont, but to any local government and work. So with show of hands, I see 1, 2, yeah. And don't forget, we got museum, arts and public places. We got avenues for creativity. So I love that. But thank you very much. And it's very exciting. And you know what? I want to shout out to Miss Chiquita Yarborough back there, because this was her idea. And yes. And just, it's an amazing legacy and program that, I would really hope that once we're all long gone, that it continues to be funded and flourished. So, and thank you so much. So good luck. Yeah.
So I just want to, in my capacity and my role, thank you to all City Council for your continued support in this program. It's gotten better each summer, and I really love getting to be a part of it, getting to see all the experiences that come out of it. I also very much want to thank Chiquita, who was, again, she very much passed the baton of this program on to me. I didn't have to dream it up, come up with what it would look like. She did all of that work and then handed it off to me. So I'd love for you to come up and speak.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I got emotional listening to everyone over there. I was back there like, don't do it, Chiquita, don't do it. I just want to say thank you to the city. This was a vision I had when I was running for city council. I ran on youth. I ran on how can we integrate more youth into the government, into the city, so that they can, it's your future. This is your future. So you have to create, like you say, you're very creative, create what you want it to be. And so we were providing you the opportunity to do it. So I want to see your name somewhere doing good things, hopefully in the city of Longmont, I'm just saying. But I also want to thank all the city employees who took the chance and said, it's a lot of work to take an intern in because you are already doing your job and you want to give 100% to teach the next generation as well. Adriana, thank you as well. Every year you take an intern in and give your knowledge and experience. That means a lot, because then they wouldn't be sitting here today if you all wouldn't do it. So thank you for taking my vision and developing it even better and making these young people's lives even better for the future, for all of our future. So, and I have to say thank you to the past council who approved this. And look at it now. I'm telling you, other municipalities are jealous of this program. And I said, don't be jealous of it. You can copy it.
Do it.
We want it. We want other municipalities to do the exact same thing, right? So, and thank you all for sitting here quietly and paying attention. And I hope you got something out of this, listening to these amazing people tonight. And thank you, council, for allowing this to happen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, of course, thank you. Oh, okay, picture? Can we get a photo? Yeah.
For any of the internship mentors or supervisors that are here in the room, please come up for the picture as well.
Yeah, you're gonna have to squish. Squish. You're gonna have to. You guys gotta come. This is an awkward family reunion. Come on. We got the split, the family split. Keep coming. Okay, all right. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
What are these pens that you have?
Oh, I got them at the, the event this
Oops, sorry.
Okay. Thank you. So we are now on to our study session items. The first one, Sundance Film Festival Longmont Impacts. And we have a short presentation update from Jen Newton, Assistant City Manager. And then I just want to remind council we're not making any action. This is just informative for us. In talking with other municipalities, neighboring mayors and others and staff, I mean, this isn't our Sundance, it's Boulder's, and we want to be a good partner. So how can we support them? So it's really following their lead, and we've gave you all the go-ahead to reach out and talk to folks, but yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and kick that off to you. But we don't need to make any active motions.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm here, you introduced me, but I'm Jen Newton.
Yeah.
I'm the Assistant City Manager for External Services. I'm joined this evening by Cami Edson and John Ricks, and also Jara Sivek Silva from Visit Longmont. So we'll turn it over to them here in a little bit. I just wanted to give a brief background related to why we're here this evening. The Sundance Film Festival, as we all know, is moving to Boulder after a long time in Park City. And we know that there'll be a large number of attendees. This says 70,000 plus. We know that it could be that there's 100,000 people who
interact with films in some way. And I think no one knows exactly how many people will come to Boulder in January. So I think I've seen estimates in the 85,000 attendees range. But not all of those attendees will be there all at once. So it's spread over 11 days. And we have been working together. We've been meeting city staff, the Longmont Downtown Development Authority, Visit Longmont, the Chamber, LADP, and lots of members of staff from the city of Longmont have been meeting to kind of talk about what our approach might be to kind of supporting, as you mentioned, our neighboring community and what impacts might happen for Longmont. So just some brief timeline. So additional lodging is happening kind of right now and through when the festival opens. Volunteer applications are expected to open at the end of this month. Ticket information is planned to be available in September, and passes and ticket packages are planned to go on sale in October. And then program announcement and schedule would be available in December. And I think that's really the kind of kickoff for when that ramp up of when lodging will really take off. Longmont is really poised to be a place where festival staff and volunteers would be located. So someone described it as kind of the approach of the Olympics, to have kind of a group, an area of hotels where there will be volunteers who will be there, and kind of there to be some support services that are there for those volunteers. So really the Visit Longmont folks have been doing a lot of interaction related to that. So hopefully John can provide a little bit of information about that in a second. You also gave direction to staff related to the short-term rental policy changes. You'll see those next week, so I don't intend to go into any specificity related to that. But you had given us direction earlier this year, and at that zero reading gave direction for additional input to be taken from area residents and agencies. So that is incorporated into the information you'll see in your packet next week. Actually, I'll go back one slide. So Longmont has about 1,000 hotel rooms. There are 6 hotels that have agreements for lodging for staff and volunteers. And based on that council direction, staff has developed a proposal for short-term rentals similar to the one that Boulder put into place, that would accommodate visitors during the festival. And it's intended to be a pilot, which then can be, modified based on what happens in the first year, and that those licenses are not subject to the numeric caps in the same way that our other short-term rental licenses are. And then I'm gonna turn this over to Cami to talk about transportation.
Hello, everyone. Cami Edson, Transportation Planning Manager. Nice to see you. So in your packet, there's a summary of what we know so far. There's still quite a few unanswered questions, but just wanted to quickly review that with our partnership with RTD, they have committed to have the main bus, the Bolt, between Longmont and Boulder, service the entire festival hours and go beyond whatever the final film of the day is, and get folks to Boulder pre the first film of the day, knowing that Longmont is going to be the staff and volunteer hub. Not all will be here. So while we don't know what those times are yet, that is a commitment that has been made. And so Longmont staff, Sundance staff, and RTD staff, City of Boulder staff will work together on all of that once the final details come out about scheduling. And as Jen mentioned, the schedule itself will not become public until December. Staff will share that. Sundance staff will share that with us internally as soon as they're comfortable releasing it, but they definitely keep a tight lip on that schedule as long as possible. So our friends up in the north, Transport Flex, we have a quarterly meeting next week where we'll be talking about if they will be considering any potential changes as well. I don't know yet, but as of now, they'll be running their schedule as normal. And our local routes will be running on schedule as normal. No changes expected with our local routes. As you also know, we will also have a new airport bus. So servicing all of those staff and volunteers that will be coming from out of state to the area to come directly to Longmont. That'll be a great new service. They won't have to necessarily divert through Boulder without the AL, the new AL bus. They would have had to do that. So a direct line here will make life easier. Obviously, our Ride Longmont service is going to be a part of that mix. It will be advertised to volunteers and the local community and visitors and staff as well. As of now, there's no budget to do any extended service for Ride Longmont. We don't expect there to be budget for that. We will use this year as a template to come up with what it could cost so we could be better prepared for future service years. But as of right now, no extended services to cover Sundance. But what Sundance staff has shared with us is that we should expect a huge influx of Uber and Lyft drivers to flood the area, to work all those late hours, all those early morning hours, as that naturally just occurs. So we should be hopefully in a position where those rides will be met for those who are coming home the latest or leaving the earliest, potentially without needing to rely on Ride Longmont to service those needs. I will say Longmont has been also partnering in a lot of the regional discussions with the City of Boulder and Sundance. There's been a lot of different work groups leading up to so far. They more recently not have had to focus more solely on Boulder's plan. Boulder's plan is almost done. Once they're done with Boulder's plan, they'll shift to some of those nearby partnering communities such as Longmont to finalize our plan. So there's still quite a bit to work on, but things are falling into place, and I think we have the right building blocks in place to get the final details well in time of the festival. There's also some mentions around the current construction projects in your packet. Don't necessarily need to go over those unless you have questions, as well as wayfinding. We have some wayfinding projects going on to have some new signs put in to sort of welcome folks coming from the south up into the north, as well as some internal wayfinding, but especially between the volunteer kind of staff village that Jen mentioned with the hotel zone, to get people to key destinations such as downtown or the rec center or the museum, some of our primary destinations. So we'll get some of that signage in with the time we have left in the rest of the year, and then more wayfinding signage will follow in future years. So that's sort of the lay of the land around transportation.
Sorry, I thought I turned it on. I was just going to add one more piece related to regional coordination. So based on the input that regional transportation group that Boulder's been leading has focused on, they're developing some of the messaging that will be around transportation. And they're focused on this audience-based transportation communications framework that is looking at priority audiences, the desired transportation behavior of the audiences, likely barriers or points of confusion, and then those shared regional messages. So I just wanted to add that to the mix really quickly. And then Boulder has also mentioned that they are looking for folks during the festival dates, kind of in that zone where all of the films will be shown, to consider telecommuting if it's possible. So just wanted to highlight that. And then the festival staff and the volunteer emphasis that we've already talked about a little bit, and that John will expand on here in a minute, is really that we understand that that's kind of our greatest opportunity, is where we have the volunteers who will be here kind of in that volunteer village, and that we've already been kind of showing the transportation folks around and talking to those volunteer coordinators to understand what Longmont has to offer and to show off our downtown. And I know that when Cammie drove folks around, to also showed off the theaters maybe for the future, and really looking at what do we have to offer so that folks who are here can be good ambassadors for our community.
I will say Sundance transportation staff hopes they get placed in Longmont. They liked it. So that's a good sign.
Mm-hmm. And then just really quickly, there is some marketing that's already been happening. There's a platform that the Boulder Chamber and kind of the, I won't get the name right, but the North Chamber Alliance has been working on, where if there's businesses or spaces to rent for like whatever the sponsors are of the Sundance party and those kinds of things, if they want to rent a space, there's a kind of a platform, a hub that's on the Sundance website where businesses can put that information in. We have been doing that, and the chamber, Scott Cook and I talked yesterday, and he said only a handful of Longmont offerings have taken up that opportunity, but I did just want to highlight that. And then the DDA has been doing some Google ads and some marketing that really is intended to talk about kind of targeting people who live just outside of our area, talking about meeting in the middle in Longmont, because we do know that based on the statistics of what happened in Utah, that there are lots of folks who are going to the Sundance Film Festival who were local to Utah, and there is an expectation that will happen here in Colorado as well. So kind of marketing to some of those surrounding communities, Colorado Springs and surrounds, talking about what's here and kind of leveraging what we have to talk about our great restaurants and great downtown and great other offerings. And, obviously we love it here, so we know what it is. Not everybody necessarily knows. So I'm going to turn it over to John so he can talk a little bit about what Visit Longmont has been doing to kind of leverage that.
Good evening. My name is John Ricks, new CEO at Visit Longmont. Been here. Well, I haven't been here since April. I've been working since April. And I think the first word I heard was Sundance, so you've been paying a lot of attention to that. Agree with you entirely, Mayor, that we're in a kind of a support role. We've had lots of meetings. There's lots of moving parts. And when I talk to my friend Charlene Hoffman in Boulder, she just looks at me and she goes, "It's a lot." So it is a lot. And it's the first time it's been here. So rather than go through, I know you have information in your packet, I wanted to just really briefly talk about how I got my head around all this. And I don't know why I did this. I ended up running into what Robert Redford said, I think probably before the first time this thing started 40-some years ago. And I want to read it to you. He said, Robert Redford viewed Sundance as a laboratory for bold storytelling, independent thinking, creativity, community, and artistic growth that embraces the freedom to experiment and fail. So this is going to happen. This event is going to happen. And I think, honestly, seeing things like this before in my past, it's going to take a couple years to really ferret it out and figure out what's happening and how to make it better. But what we did is we thought, okay, and Jen talked to this about volunteers. If you look at any event in the country, I don't care if it's in a city, it's a local event, all the way up to name a big event, the World Cup, who knows? When a chairman or a president of that organization stands in front of the crowd after it's all done, who's the first people they think? The volunteers. Volunteers are the backbone of these events. So in our thinking, because we want to touch as many points as we can, our thinking was, as Jen mentioned, is find ways to support those volunteers when they're here. Because what that will do is that's going to help Boulder too. It's going to help, having happy volunteers is a heck of a good thing when you're throwing an event this big. So that's the first thing we looked at, enhance the experience of volunteers. In the long run, the target is kind of to embrace them and make their experience here rewarding and fulfilling as they work to make the experience of Sundance attendees seamless and memorable. They can become great ambassadors over time. How we're going about doing that, we've been brainstorming a lot of things. We don't have time tonight to get into that, but that's key. Let's help support the backbone of the event so it runs as well as it can. We'll have 400 to 500 volunteers here, and we're also thinking of ways to get to the rest of them because there's about 1,800 to 2,000 of them. The other thing that we're talking about is marketing efforts, attract potential attendees to Longmont when this is all happening. This is a little different event. We don't have to attract people to the event itself. It draws, as Jen said, pretty well. There could be of 100,000 people around. So we're in the marketplace now. We were out of the marketplace for a bit, but we want to build and are building awareness of that Longmont exists to the markets that we're talking about. The other thing we did is we looked at our inquiry database to find out where people from Longmont come from. So yes, there's a lot of local, but we also want to identify some other markets out of the area and we're going to work on that. The goal here is to, when people are here, well, hopefully even before people are here, there are digital ways that we can get on other people's websites and tag things so we can get back to them. We don't need their email addresses or anything. We can just put a tag on and go back at them before they're here. So we're working on that. We've also, Nikki and our office have built, I think there's 8 or 9 really cool kind of itineraries that we can use as content for those efforts. And we're going to start those a little early right now, but I think the biggest thing we want to do is see if we can work with these other digital places to get, to be able to reach people who are planning to come here. So that's the second thing. The other thing is how can we prepare local businesses for all of this? I've been in this business for a long time, and the people in the hotels and behind the front desks and in the restaurants, they have to be very knowledgeable. So we just launched a destination learning lab in conjunction with Colorado Tourism Office. I think Commissioner Alex is already certified and got his little monster button already. But it's important that they know how to go about doing this. And we're going to continue that. So in a nutshell, that's what we're up to. Final thing is we're just going to launch what we call a perception study. This is not only for Sundance, this is for attracting people to Longmont in the long term. Next 6 to 8 weeks, we'll have more information about that to share. Okay. So if you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer.
Okay. Is this the end of the slideshow? Okay.
Yeah.
So now I will open it up to questions. Okay. Councilmember Kalkofer.
Thank you, Mayor. I know a lot of work has been going on at 320 Main Street between Visit Longmont and LDDA. I get the honor of sitting in some of those board meetings, so I know how much you all are working. So thank you for that. And John, I know you are fresh into this seat and you jumped in head first and you hit the ground running. So kudos to you and thank you for everything that you're doing and all the staff is doing in that office. I know you guys are working really hard. If you can give some advice to some folks in Longmont residents that are hesitant or nervous about the impacts that they're going to see, what can you do to make them feel better about what's coming, and how can they prepare for what's to come?
You know, I think Sundance is already working in communities. I've been to a couple of presentations, and if you talk to them and listen, yes, this is happening in Boulder, but it really affects a much broader area than that. And I think I don't think people have to be concerned. This is going to happen, and I think that over time, if people are somehow reluctant, they're going to see that this thing is going to be good for the entire area. And I think when people realize that Sundance is the Olympics of the indie film industry internationally, but it doesn't happen every 4 years. It happens every year. And there's a way that over time, Longmont's going to get more exposure, and it's going to get more awareness, and it's going to bring people here year-round. I mean, if you just look at the 500 or look at the 1,800 volunteers, for example, those are potential visitors. So one of the programs we're looking at is to have promotions for the volunteers themselves to win prizes to come back in the summertime. So I think long-term, it's going to be very beneficial for Longmont.
Thank you. And Cami, I have a question for you. We're all pretty aware of what's happening on Hover and 119. Most likely that won't be done for the first Sundance.
Correct.
What will we do to help with the movement of vehicles and buses in that intersection during the first Sundance?
Yeah, great Great question, and a little bit might be in your packet, but just for the public's awareness too. Ken Pratt Boulevard or Colorado 119, when it's in Longmont, when it's going from on 119 itself, will not be shut down at all during the festival. It will not be shut down at all during construction of the overpass. The turn movements off of it onto Hover will be blocked. So there'll be the detours, most likely up Sunset Street. Sunset Street also had some planned construction as well, but there's been a delay in that project, as well as an agreement with any of the contractors out there that there will be no work on Sunset Street, since it will be the detour, if it were to be an active construction zone during Sundance. So it should be that the detours are clearly marked. There will be the standard detours pretty much through the construction anyway. Not a whole lot will change as far as that movement during Sundance that wouldn't already be normal or established.
And is there any place online that people can go and see if there are detours, where to find them on our website?
So on the project page for Hover and 119, that would be the most current place for that specific project or the Sunset project.
Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
all. Really appreciate it.
Great, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. John and Cammie and Jared, I really appreciate all of you coming down here tonight. I think it's good for us to hear this, especially what you were saying, John. I feel really comfortable with what you're saying about transportation there, Cammie. But John, I think the point that you're saying is, we're playing in that support role, and that might lead to greater opportunities. But I think we have to show that we can be that support, and serving on the hotel board, the Longmont Taxing District there. I think that the thing that you touched on, John, is the issue around sorry, I forgot to give myself a timer. So the issue around how we can make sure that these volunteers and folks that come in from Sundance that want to that are staying in Longmont really get served in the way that they're used to being served previously, and the idea of understanding that these guys are going to be coming in sometimes at 10 o'clock at night and will be hungry and would like to eat at a restaurant after they've done a full day's work and shifts and things like that, and getting those restaurants to understand that today they might close at 9:30, and during that period of time they might need to stay open a lot longer and have their star staff working those shifts and everything. So I like the idea that you're creating a sort of what did you call it, a training or some sort of goal. Can you repeat that for me? Yeah,
The Destination Learning Lab?
Destination Learning Lab.
Yeah, the learning labs.
I love that, because I really think that's where people have to understand the big picture of what the expectation is.
Yeah.
So thank you all for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Councilmember Prieto.
Thank you again for all your work. As I'm excited to hear about the Learning Lab, because I know when I travel and I go to the event, then after I'm like, what do we do? And I think that's where Longmont can really stand out, what's happening after these showings. That's what's going to call folks, even from Boulder, who are staying in Boulder, to come and spend their money here in Longmont. So definitely working with businesses, bars and grills, restaurants, late night hours, block parties. I'm just playing. No. I can help you guys with the planning if you want. Just no, but it's really exciting. And then, even seeing some of the communication with the bike rentals that we have, how cool is that going to be? That someone can even rent a bike in Longmont, an electric bike, and maybe drive or use our new sidewalk from Longmont to Boulder. So lots of ideas, excitement. One thing that I'm thinking, though, just working with the folks that I work with in the field that I work in, I'm thinking, okay, what are the two things that are going to be most impacted? Lodging and then transportation. right? And then, of course, our businesses are going to see a peak. Transportation, it looks like the city's doing a wonderful job in preparing for that, wayfinding signage, working with RTD. I feel really comfortable about that. We'll see an influx with like Uber and Lyft, but hopefully all of our residents can like get their Uber and Lyft apps going and can be a part of that as well. One thing that I'm thinking in January, just depending on what weather looks like now, if it looks like what it did last year, it's going to be pretty nice, right? I'm thinking, you know, it's a little dry, a little bit chilly, but for the most part, the sun's shining. But then there's been some years where it's really cold. And I know in the work that I do, we sometimes house families in hotels. And so just from a staff perspective, I'm just thinking about there is no current family shelters available. And a lot of the times what municipalities and the county does is gives hotel vouchers and stays via the hotels. And so if these are going to be packed with visitors and tourists, if we do have families experiencing homelessness during this week, I would just encourage staff to maybe work with our local churches just to see if we can have like an emergency shelter open for families with children during this week, since lodging is going to be non-existent. I think that's my only feedback, just the one gap that I see there. But other than that, I'm excited. I didn't know what the film festival was. I might even put my volunteer application in there just to be like a fly on the wall and to really understand like what's going on, like what do people want, what are they talking about, where are they going. So thank you so much.
Can I just add something real quick? We have heard from Sundance staff, for those who really want to engage in the festival, filling out a volunteer application is very encouraged. They hope you do, as that gets you access to different things. But I read in an interview with the CEO of Sundance too that they're looking to create a Colorado-specific type pass for Coloradans and students. Don't know what that looks like yet, but it will look different than the general visitor pass some way, somehow, again, to come out later, like Jen said, when the passes come out. But there should be, it sounds like, a Colorado student-specific pass to really make sure that local folks feel like they have a way to engage in the festival and not feel like they're expecting everyone to disappear to make room for others some way, somehow. The CEO is really concerned that Coloradans don't see a way into this, and they really want them to. So don't know what that means yet, but more to come.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for bringing up the volunteer thing, because I was like, I want to volunteer.
And
Like,
just
that'd
to
be fun.
clarify, on the bike path between Longmont and Boulder, it technically will not open until the spring of 2027, so it may not be fully opened.
For
It
this
could
first
partially
year,
be
yeah.
open for this first year. They might have a soft launch up to a certain point. Our package, our corner of the package there will still be under construction, so that may not be the most usable asset this year, but moving forward, it absolutely will be.
Will be,
Yeah,
okay.
so just to
Thank you. Councilmember Marcin.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question for Cammie. Thanks for the presentation. Speaking a little bit to Councilmember Kolkoffer's question, Hoover and 119 going to be what it is. One of the specific detours that I haven't heard at all about in packets or et cetera is actually the one that I take personally when I'm trying to go to Boulder right now, which is Airport onto 119, and there's active construction there as well. Literally just curious about the timeline on that CDOT project. I went and looked and I couldn't find it, and whether that's going to be cleared up by the time we get to Sundance, or if we're going to have multiple issues in terms of getting onto 119 and Longmont.
Yeah, so the current construction near Airport will be done by the time Sundance comes.
Okay.
And the current standard detour with RTD that does divert, if we need to divert off of 119, uses Clover Basin and Airport.
Okay.
So that would be the detour that would be used, which in some way is ideal because it cuts right through Hotel Zone on Clover Basin.
Yeah. Do we feel that intersection has the capacity to handle that kind of increased? I'm noticing uptick there right now anyway, as folks are starting to avoid
And that
119.
conversation, to your exact point, that conversation did start when Sundance Transportation staff were here, when Jared and I took them out on a tour to say this is where the standard detour would be, and this is the hotel zone, and this is where increased pedestrian traffic would be.
Yeah.
We're already seeing increased traffic, so we'll all have our thinking caps around what else might need to be considered
Yeah.
to make the standard detour functionally
Yeah.
work well. But because of the non-typical traffic patterns that are already out there due to the Hover intersection.
And they are already out there. It's getting long out there. Yeah. Thanks.
So that's all on everyone's, we're aware of all of that, talking about what other potential needs might need to be thought of that haven't been thought of yet. Yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Christ.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Ricks and Cami Edison, and also Jen Uden for your presentation. Let me just say that the work you have done on the Visit Longmont website is phenomenal. And I appreciate how much change you have put into that, because I was the liaison last year to Visit Longmont, and I remember how much it was to get that website going. And now to add all this content, it was amazing. And these crawls that you have related to movies, fantastic. I look through all of them. And I love that it highlights various different parts of the city and businesses that I think, wow, I haven't seen that in a while. I need to go to that business. And so I'm enthused about Longmont, and I think that says something. I'm wondering, Cami, if there's going to be transportation in related to those crawls in terms of being able to, ping pong between those destinations. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it yet, but
I think that's something definitely for our internal work group that Jen mentioned about all of our agencies. We still have a number of things to talk through, so I think this is on the list.
yeah. Yeah, we're making it up as we go. I want to highlight, though, that Longmont is really a volunteer type city, and I think volunteers will be very comfortable here because we have that mentality already, as we've already saying, oh, we're all going to volunteer. Yeah, and so we appreciate when the work that people put in organizations. And then I just am wondering, I noticed you're saying about maybe 80,000 visitors, plus some volunteers as well. And when you think about Boulder being 100,000 people and Longmont being 100,000 people, that's really a whole nother city in addition to our two cities. And I know there's a region. So I was just kind of doing the math, and I'm wondering, with 132 million increase in revenue in the region, do we have any idea of how much of a gain that is for the region, Jen?
I don't think that we have that modeled, and the numbers that are here are from 2025, and so I haven't seen any updated numbers for the impact from this year for Sundance. And I know that Sundance does a lot of work to understand after the festival what the impacts are to the whole region, so I know that they'll be doing that work as well. And I think our region looks a little bit different than the Park City area. So, how many people will be on the 36 corridor? How many people will be using the 119 corridor? I think once we have a year of data under our belt, we'll have a lot better understanding of where people are staying and how they're moving, and we can certainly adjust. And we'll also have that understanding of what the impact to the economy is.
Yes, and I'm wondering if that could also be a bit of a model to what the expectation or the strain would be, in various cities involved in the region. How much you have this idea, like I'm saying, if it's a third city, basically, are we going to take all of that in Longmont and Boulder? You know what I mean? So we're dividing another whole city between us, or are we parceling it out between about 5 different areas, and how much that might impact businesses? And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying, figure out what our capacity is and go for it. But it'd be nice to have an idea of what our capacity is in terms of that share.
And I think we won't know yet until they have a year to exactly how many people are there at once. What we know is that $85,000 person figure is spread out over those days, and the first weekend is the biggest weekend, but not all of those people are there all at once.
Right. I guess the thing was the 132 million, because I never think about I don't ever think about that number regionally. And I'm wondering if you have any regional number for that, and we can figure it out later too. But it was something that raised a question mark for me.
We can certainly send out that. There's a link to all of the data that they've put together, that Sundance has put together, that gives kind of sense of how long people stayed and when they stayed, and were those folks from Utah or were they from someplace else? It's data that is a little bit older, but we certainly can share that link with council and anybody else who'd like to see it.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah, I would too, and that would be very helpful because I think Colorado runs a little similarly. I think we'll get an influx from other Colorado cities because it's not that far to drive now to come up to Boulder.
Well, and then it gives us a conceptual, to conceptualize what, how it's impacted other communities and help better inform our understanding.
Right, definitely. Thank you again so much, and I'll be looking at the Destination Learning Lab as well. I just didn't have time that particular day to finish it, but I'm going to.
I just signed up right now, so. Okay.
I'm told if you complete it, then that you could get a pin.
Oh.
Of
Okay.
Monty.
Yeah.
A Monty pin.
Okay, I have one. I was able to Skype one, but I'll give it back. Councilmember Popkin.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually want to build on where Councilmember Christ was going with some of her discussion on regional impacts and population. I appreciated Assistant City Manager Artis's response today on a number of factors, and one of the things that he noted was to put the 85,000 visitors in context. UC Boulder regularly brings in 50 to 60,000 for game days, right? The Boulder 10K is approximately 100,000 people. Now the differences between those and Sundance is that people aren't probably staying mostly for an overnight situation there. Maybe once in a while they're staying 1-2 nights, but not a full stretch. So there is a fundamental difference in like the types of activities and kind of interaction with the local economy. So I'm really encouraged to hear all of the work and partnerships that we are actively noodling on and experimenting with. So thank you for doing that. I did want to ask about on the lodging side of things. Something I learned from just our packet alone was that Longmont apparently has 1,006 hotel rooms. That was a fact I did not know going into this. Do you have a sense of how that compares to other communities of our size? Looking mostly at John on this one.
No.
Okay.
But I can find out. I mean, it really depends.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can check that out. There's communities around that are pretty similar size.
Yeah, in particular, and Boulder is a similar size in population, but they have very different. They have a little bit of a different local economy focus and structure, especially with UC Boulder. So I would just be curious to know if you didn't have a 4-year university there with
what would it be?
What would be kind of what should we be anchoring towards? What should we be aiming for? So I appreciate that. Cammie, Jen, and any other staff that are here or were involved, just thank you so much for all of the work over the last many months on the airport to Longmont bus. That is huge, and to be clear, that is not just for Sundance. Maybe that was a catalyst. If so, thank you. But that is a huge direct connection for Longmont residents and businesses from DIA to Longmont. So glad that's going to be there for not just Sundance, but in general. I did have a question on emergency preparedness, perhaps for Assistant City Manager Artis, and then I had a question on sales tax revenue and fee opportunities.
And were these the repeat of the questions you had already posed around emergency preparedness?
One was a follow-up too.
Okay, because want us to keep the whole purpose of having those emails sent ahead of time, and so we're not.
Yeah, I'm not going through the whole thing.
Okay, so let's keep it.
Yep.
We can keep it brief.
Yeah, no. I won't belabor this, and so there's I guess while Chief Artis is getting set up there, I'm just curious, as John, Cammie, Jen, Harold, as you guys were thinking about kind of the multifaceted departmental considerations and response and planning for Sundance and the intergovernmental and cross-community, were there any other, we've had a lot of conversations about fees and tax rates here in the last few months. And I'm just curious if any opportunities, not necessarily to enact this year, but if any opportunities came up from your research or from your conversations that might inform some of our decision-making going forward on how we might increase local revenue without raising taxes, specifically, as we go forward.
If you want to go, I mean, so so one of the things that, this is a piece where we're going to be very careful in the first year, is really understanding what happens within the time period immediately leading up to and following when you have the volunteers, because some of the volunteers will come in ahead of time. And try, we're going to be really conservative on estimating what the sales and use tax push is going to be during that period. We've actually reached out to people in Utah to try to understand it. The numbers that they put together are more regionally, and so it's hard to get a sense what that local impact is going to be, especially because when you look at where folks tend to stay, there's actually more opportunities here than existed in Utah in terms of you have Broomfield available to you, you have Denver available, you have Longmont. You also, if you look on their site, they're also marketing Frederick Firestone hotels and Estes Park. And so understanding that is going in this first year, I think will lead us to then what opportunities come out of it once we get a sense of what the base is going to look like after year one. So that's, I think, how we want to approach it, because it's too early to say, well, what if we do this or this, until we understand what really is the impact to our community. I do think there will be a sales and use tax push.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, like, are there other revenue opportunities that we might be wanting to either collect data for in year one, or be like kind of looking beyond just the sales and use tax to start to think about what rope might we be able to pull on?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think about, is there a way that when we understand what's happening on rideshare and things like that, that may be a lever that we look at. Or one of the levers we may look at is understanding what a potential expansion of Ride Longmont is during that period of time, and is there a way to monetize it to not only just help for that event, but help for the overall program. And so I think there's a lot of levers that once we understand and see magnitude, that we'll be able to really get surgical with as we're looking to the next year.
Yeah. So
at the same time, also not wanting to gouge that could have the inverse impact. So we're going to be looking at balance in that, but we'll learn a lot in this year from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, great. And I guess the quality of the data that we're able to get from that will only further help our decision making going forward. So any efforts from you all, from strategic integration in the back, like would be super appreciated as we start to understand who's using what, when, and to what degree.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you. And then Assistant City Manager Artist, thank you for your very detailed response via email. I won't go into too much there. What I did want to ask is, as we're thinking about emergency management in the region, can you just share a little bit about what we learned from the Marshall Fire response and intergovernmental coordinations and interdepartmental responses there that we are factoring into our broader planning here in the event that a fire or some other kind of emergency or disaster should happen? And then I have a follow-up question on kind of how we're thinking about the Boulder County Fairgrounds, building off what Councilmember Prieto was discussing.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have not been, I'm not a subject matter expert in this area. Of course, Dion, our Director of Office of Emergency Management, is and has been working very closely with Mike Char in the Office of Disaster Management to lessons learned from the Marshall Fire. And I think the Marshall Fire itself is very unique in just it's a perfect storm, meaning we had the winds, we had the dryness, we had the fire, moved very quickly. I think we looked at things from how do we get out information quicker? How do we better understand, well, what happens when the infrastructure of cell towers and things of that nature go away because of the fire was so hot, so intense, and so quick? How do we begin to now look broader on how do we look outside, maybe look beyond based on weather conditions beyond the area we're focused in on to look at pre-evacuations or notices? Some of the things that have changed recently over the last few years is we now use BOCO Alert, which is consistent across the county and the city of Longmont. As council is already familiar and the public is too, there are two basically offices of emergency management within the County of Boulder. One of those is the Officer of Disaster Management, which also oversees Boulder County, the City of Boulder, and then other municipalities throughout Boulder County. City of Longmont is the only one that has its own Offices of Emergency Management. But we work very closely with that. We tried to look at, understand again, to your point, traffic patterns, evacuation patterns, available resources that we had. Part of what we were able to do so quickly is because this council did approve take-home vehicles several years ago. We were able to deploy, I think, up to almost 50 personnel within a short time period, to include fire and police, to go down and start doing door-to-door to really begin to do things. So really understanding some of that is how are we communicating with the public. And so we have looked at those types of communication pieces really in particularly because that was one of the biggest concerns. There were questions about would you bring sirens down? Well, as many of you know, unless you're within just, again, a weather event, it prohibits the number of the vocal of those sirens to come out. So everything has been explored as how do we better communicate with the community. And unfortunately, we rely very heavily on technology today with the types of alerts. There is some language change that has gone into place to keep consistency with whether it's a warning or whether it's an actual event. And so those are some consistencies that are going across northern Colorado to make sure that all of our messaging is the same. We've worked very closely with Boulder County, Weld County, Larimer County to ensure that what we do is consistent. And again, we're still working through some of those pieces. I certainly am happy to have Dion provide a document for council to really go in depth and talk about some of the lessons learned and some of the things that they're doing moving forward. That is just a very high level overview of some of the, I know, challenges we initially had early on. Again, there's a whole another aspect of that as far as recovery and what does that look like. As many of you know, we are still recovering and doing recovery work from the 2013 flood, working with FEMA. So again, we anticipate that Boulder County and those cities that were affected are still going to be 10 years, 15 years from now, still trying to recover and rebuild their communities. And so again, I think it's there's a lot of different pieces to that when you ask about lessons learned and things that public safety, but cities themselves, the municipalities and county governments took away from that. But again, I think I'm happy to have Dion, and I'll reach out to him this evening and see if he can kind of type up just a high-level overview of kind of where an Office of Emergency Management is at and some of the things that they look to quickly employ after the event. They've kind of worked over the last few years to do and future things that they're looking to do to try to make sure that when we have a type of disaster like that, that we're able to make sure that we provide the correct information accurately, quickly, and get individuals and community members out of those areas.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Zach, I'm going to interrupt for just a moment. I have a question, though. How long did it take you to answer this entire email with all the responses to the questions? And, you know, there were some hypotheticals in there, and I know, and it was very detailed. And, you know, so my concern is, you know, if you send something from staff, you ask something, that the time it's going to take to put it together, and how is this going to really help inform their work in collaboration with Boulder. So I want to get us kind of, I feel like we're kind of maybe veering off into another subject matter, and I want to bring us back, but I also want to be respectful of your time.
Yes, ma'am.
And staff's time as well.
Yeah, I think it took me probably 2 hours to do that, and I asked several staff members to review that just to make sure that what I was providing you is accurate. But I think what is helpful is when I work in the world of public safety, and this is what I've done for almost 30 years, my institutional knowledge is a lot different than maybe sometimes the folks that I'm talking to, and I can answer that question very simply, go yes, no, maybe, forget it, right?
Yeah.
But that's not very helpful for you. And so trying to give a little bit of background and institutional knowledge, I think, is part of our responsibility when we're communicating with council. I am certainly grateful and appreciate, because it does take,
well, and I want to get your perspective.
If 3 or 4 council members hit me with some issue and we're trying to educate or address it, it can take quite a bit of staff time to do it. But I think my goal is ultimately, as we go through and talk about these, and we talk about them over time, when these questions, because it seems about every 6 or 8 months to a year, the same things pop back up that we'll remember, oh, you know what, we talked about this a year ago. And so I think it's taking the time on the front end to really make sure that we know what we're talking about, make sure we've got our ducks in a row, but then also educating whoever our audience is at the time to make sure we have that. So, like, for an example, I didn't include this, there's a lot of work that's been done on the fire side of that. So for an example, which I'm pretty sure this council probably is not familiar with, and I did not include this document because there was a question about Marshall Fire. And one of the things that has been done that we are a part of is working with the county and in our regional areas, that when there's a red flag day, we will actually bring on another wildland crew to be prepared, or if there's a weather condition that we're concerned about, so that we have a quicker response to those areas.
Yeah.
So there are things that are getting done behind the scenes that maybe not pushed out through the media, maybe not necessarily pushed out on operational daily basis to city council or to community members, that public safety is working across county and state lines, well, county and regional
Yeah, I
areas.
learned about that from
Yes, ma'am.
engaging with
Correct.
fire.
And so
Yeah,
again, a
yeah,
lot of those
fire
things are
use.
already happening in the background. So I'm happy to ask staff to do that, because I think it is helpful. Because again, it has been a very dry season for us,
Mhm.
and we are in a drought.
No, I
and
understand,
there's a
yeah.
great concern. But
The climate is changing.
Yes, ma'am, but I am
We've
very,
seen this,
yeah, I'm very grateful for you asking and concerned about the time it does.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, this council has been amazing, and that if I needed more time, or if I'm like, hey, let me just call you instead of typing a document up, because I think it's a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah.
Everyone on this council, including yourself, Mayor, has been gracious enough to afford me that liberty.
Okay,
So
good.
the one thing I was going to add is we tend to talk a lot about the most recent disaster. The one that we actually learned from that actually is probably more consistent from this is actually the floods.
The flood.
And the reason
Mhm.
the floods were there is because they hit multiple communities.
Mhm.
We actually were cut off from each other. And so we physically couldn't get people moving around. And so in that, based on the actual disaster, we actually Longmont took Longmont Lions in the northern part of the
And even
community.
like north of St. Vrain and south of St. Vrain, we were cut
Correct.
off
And then
from each
Boulder
other.
County took this piece.
Yeah.
And then what we did is we have processes and annexes
Mm-hmm.
that we went through, where then we started going to Evans and Greeley and other communities,
Yeah.
and they were coming in to support it. So I wanted to say that, because if there was ever a moment where we were tested, where the interoperability was really in place, it actually was the flood, because we literally couldn't get to each other. And in some cases, we couldn't even move around in the community. So we've been tested on a few of these pieces, and that's why we're an all-hazard city. We take the conditions, we take what's happening, and we're making decisions based on the what's occurring at that point in time. And that's how we're based. So I wanted to say that, because actually there's a lot of learning that came out of 2013.
Yeah. I was a block away from St. Vrain, and, oh my God, yeah, PTSD, it's all triggered. Okay, well, thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate that. And to be clear, I'm asking about the public safety element because that's the intersection, that's underlying everything else that we're talking about, right? The success of a regional event, the success of the transportation landscape, it all boils down to, is this a safe environment for people to operate in and to live in? The last question I had, and this is in advance of the conversation that I think we're going to have with county commissioners in the next couple of months. To what extent have we been engaged with the county on understanding how they plan to use the fairgrounds? And building on Councilmember Prieto's comment before, are we thinking of that as an overflow for families in need in those moments? Or are we thinking about it as a festival space? Are we thinking about it as something else? Like, how are we thinking about that? This could be a question for anyone here, not just public safety.
From a public safety standpoint, I can't comment what the county's plans are for that property. I know that Councilman Prieto brought up concerns about sheltering. And again, what I want to share, and I think the council is familiar, but we work on a monthly basis with all of our partners within the city, or different departments, and we work through scenarios and table-based scenarios for disasters or train derailments or issues where we have to do sheltering. And again, we have plans that are built in place that if for some reason we needed to open those shelters, we can do those. We already automatically prepare and look at what happens when we have particularly colder nights and our unhoused folks, where we're going to put folks. So we have plans in place to activate. A while back, the county, I think, had some fires or some issues in the mountains, and they were looking for a secondary or third location for sheltering. And we were on standby for that to use the memorial building, which is set up for that. We already work extensively with the rec department and Jeff Friesner and that group. And so we already have those things built into place so that if we need to activate those, we can get those up very quickly. Specifically related to what the county does with the fairgrounds, public safety would only provide potential security or help with traffic control in those areas if they needed it. And we might even try to, as a city, if they requested, to try to help with staffing that facility based on whatever the incident is. And so, again, between the MOUs, the IGAs, and the agreements that we have, collectively, whether it's happening in Boulder County, City of Boulder, or City of Longmont, we all just jump in and pitch in, and we make it work. And so, again, if they're going to use it as festival space, they haven't shared that with us. They're going to use it as some type of potential area that sometimes they'll remove livestock and animals from the county where there may be a disaster going on and move it to the fairgrounds to have it. Again, we offer resources and offer to assist them, but it's really at their discretion on how much they want us or what they need from us. And so, again, I just want to reassure the community and the council that we have great partnerships and work with them. But as far as specifically related to Sundance, what those areas are going to be utilized, I couldn't tell you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you very much. And, oh, yeah, okay. And this is your second time? Okay, yeah, okay.
Fast, Mayor, promise.
Yes, okay.
And I do apologize. Sometimes as we get into dialogue, you don't think about these things
question
until we
pops up.
actually, yeah. Just on the public safety standpoint, as far as transportation, and it's reassuring that you folks are all talking to each other. And I'm just thinking about SVVSD, kids are back to school, and some of the high traffic areas. One specific area I'm thinking about is like Sunset and Ken Pratt, CTEC, CDC, and Old Columbine's right there. Any students who are walking across high traffic areas, sounds like we're going to have an influx of Uber drivers and people driving in Longmont that are not familiar with Longmont, our streets and students. And so just thinking about it from that standpoint as well, just making sure that maybe we're working with SCVSD. This could be a topic that we talk about with the board, and or maybe public safety can support during those school hours when school starts and then ends, making sure kids are able to cross safely.
So yes, ma'am. So we have a crossing guard program that exists with St. Verlaine Schools District. We do communicate quite frequently with them. They have a security director. I have not had an opportunity to meet her. She is new, but they do. We do work very closely with them. We also have SROs at our schools, and so when we do receive complaints and issues, we have done enforcement. And unfortunately, we have caught some of our teachers coming through those areas in those moments where we were doing traffic enforcement in those areas. So we do take those. And I don't mean to pick on teachers. I'm just saying that because I know some of you are. So I'm not trying to pick on it. But again, some of the folks that are calling us, we find that in subdivisions, the folks that are calling us to say there's a traffic issue, oftentimes we catch them like, well, I called. Well, you were speeding too. So we do enforce that. We do address the issues when we do see those problems in school zones. Our traffic unit is very good about doing that, along with our patrol division, again, to allocating during those times of either coming to school or release. And so we'll continue to monitor those situations. And I would assume as time goes on, and because this is our first Sundance, we will have to make some operational adjustments early on to meet the needs of the community, simply based upon what we don't know. What we don't know is what we don't know, right? And so I think we're prepared to make operational adjustments, and our staff knows that, to make sure that, again, because traffic is an issue, we'll deal with that. If speeding is an issue, we'll deal with that. If we need extra patrols because we have all of our hotels full and we have folks sleeping in their vehicles, we'll deal with that. If we have issues of we can't find places for families to sleep at night, then again, the city, and I don't want to speak for City Whole, but I feel confident the city and public safety will step into those gaps to make sure that we meet the needs of the community.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Kalkoffer.
Thank you, Mayor. Super quick. Final plug for Visit Longmont. VisitLongmont.org is not only for visitors, it's for us too. And it's a great resource for us, and Jira and John. Thanks for having such a beautiful website that makes me feel proud to be a Longmont resident. Whenever I'm like, I can't think of what to do, Visit Longmont is definitely a place for me to go and visit. So it's not just for people out of town, it's also for us in town, because sometimes we get in the same routine, going to the same places. And this is a beautiful website, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm really proud of the board that I sit on, and I get to see all the things that happen in the background. So kudos to Jira and John for all the work that you and your teams do to really put us on the map. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, and for anyone who had, I won't belabor this, I got you. I had to pull it out of you. So, okay, we are on to the Public Educational and Government Video Services Contract and presentation or update. Okay. By Sandy Cedar, Assistant City Manager, and Lindsay Diamond as well? Or are you
Yes.
just, okay.
We'll be quick.
Yeah, no
No
worries.
presentation.
Okay.
Just don't belabor it.
Don't belabor it. Don't belabor it. Mayor, City Council, we are here. It is the annual return of the Public Educational and Governmental Video, or PEG, Video Services Contract. As a reminder, this is an exception in the purchasing codes, so the contract for PEG services comes before council for direction every year. There's some additional details in the council communication. I did want to point out that the staff recommendation this year is to extend the current contract with LPM with some minor changes. And we're looking for the possibility of extending this contract for an additional 4 years. So that is our staff recommendation, and we're here to answer any questions and look for your guidance and feedback on this contract.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Lindsay, can you tell us, when you're saying that, and maybe I missed this, that when you're going to extend it to 4 years, is there going to be a cost of living sort of raises involved with it?
Yeah, so we're looking at extending an additional 4 years, and of course, we would have to renegotiate the contract for with that extension, and there would need to be some sort of inflationary adjustment for things that are happening over the course of that time. Some of these minor changes that we are recommending in the council communication have come up over the last year for things that have risen from council direction, staff needs across the departments, and so we will adjust for those.
Thank you.
Councilmember Marcin.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Lindsay and Sandy. I have some questions, and I see some LPM folks are here as well, so maybe if my questions don't quite land. I have some just kind of general thoughts and questions about our relationship with LPM, since this is the first time that it's come in front of me since I've been here on council. And I'll start with kind of something I know LPM's been doing of late that's gotten, I think, a lot of like publicity, and that's a fundraising drive that LPM's been doing related to audio and video equipment. And I'm curious about when LPM goes out and does something like that in the nature of our relationship. Do they contact the city and are like, hey, we're about to go out and try and raise a bunch of money for this additional equipment? Or was that something that they went out and did? I'm not necessarily saying whether that's good or bad. I'm just curious about how that operationally happens. Since it is a publicly supported entity, and we are throwing tax dollars at it, and then folks are like, hey, we need more money from the pub. So I just am curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say from the city perspective, we have a very specific contract with LPM and what that covers. They're also a nonprofit and have to fundraise to support themselves outside of our contract. So it is not written in the contract that they need to communicate with us about their fundraising goals and desires. We, of course, support them, and I think many members of our community use their services, but our contract is very specific about what the city contracts with LPM to do, and outside of that, it's their business and nonprofit to run.
And Councilmember Marcin, just one addition. Last year, the council decided to kind of make that split. So it really, before that, had been that the contract was kind of all city and mushed up with the makerspace and all that kind of stuff. And this last contract really divided that and gave LPM that ability to move forward as the nonprofit that they are, and treat the city contract as something that was separate.
Yeah, and then just for context too, in past conversations that the prior city council had was around encouraging our nonprofits. I mean, we provide funds for Hope and other nonprofits that they're still, doing their nonprofit fundraising ventures as well. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not.
No, I
unheard of.
appreciate that, and that was really helpful context, because I think I was more familiar with the former structure in terms of, operationally we give LPM a block of money and we expect these services in return, and so that's helpful in terms of that divide between the nonprofit side and the other side. I had a couple specific questions. In the council comm, there's mention of a missed event coverage, but not a lot of detail there. Was that were there any other serious issues that needed to be raised, or was that dealt with on the back end?
Yep,
or-
everything was dealt with. I wanted to be transparent with the council about, generally speaking, we have an exceptional relationship with LPM. We throw a lot of things last minute because things come up in the city that we need to cover, and they have been incredibly gracious about being available and flexible with our needs. For the sake of transparency, we included a few areas for growth, as we all have them. And so everything that we ran into is present in this council comm.
Awesome. And then the last thing, I had a question about kind of the breakdown of the finances in the project financial summary and the attachment, which is what I think Sergio provided. It lists out several line items about individual production pieces, and one of them is the This Week in Council productions for $12,500. I'm curious if, because I've seen those, they pop up, they're short form videos, and my understanding is we provide the script, and I know it doesn't cost anything to post something on TikTok, so I'm just curious about if those line items are kind of, and this may be a question for LPM, if those line items are spread out across kind of, hey, here's what everything costs, and we're going to allocate here, 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 and here, or if there is actual, if LPM is actually saying this is what this costs for these specific pieces, if that makes sense.
I won't speak for Sergio or LPM in terms of those line item costs. I will, because you mentioned TWIC, I will say one of our revisions, changes for the contract moving forward. I don't know if you've experienced this, but just with the algorithm changes, a lot of times the TWIC video shows up for me on Wednesday, which is not very helpful for the council. So one of the changes is, unlike the current contract, which specifically calls out TWIC and TWIL, This Week in Longmont and This Week in Council, generalizing and leveling that, bringing that up 10,000 feet to just say a council promotion and rethinking what that would look like, what the schedule would look like, and how to promote council.
And awesome. Okay, so I'm curious. I don't know how much more time I have. If I have time for two more questions. Oh, amazing. Can I actually ask a question of LPM, if that's okay? If Sergio, I'll be really quick. There are two questions that I had for you, because it actually got flagged for me today. I would have sent it to you beforehand, but I saw the Too Long Didn't Watch recaps that have, and I know that's not part of necessarily the contract, but those are 7-hour meetings. I'm wondering if first, well, let's go back to I'll do that in a second. The budget piece and the line items of the budget, can you speak to that at all in terms of, hey, we're allocating these in these different places if needed, but it kind of all goes into the same pot? Is that generally how LPM is thinking about it in terms of the dollars from this contract?
Yeah, so Sergio Angelis, Executive Director of Longmont Public Media. So Councilmember Morrison, that's correct. Yeah, so as part of the RFP process last year, we had to just allocate how we would spend dollars.
Got it.
Initially, it's still staff time that goes towards funding.
Totally understand that. Thank you. That helps clarify the staff time piece. And then just generally, and this is not a criticism necessarily, how much in terms of some of this other video content that's being used that you all are producing, are you using AI tools? For example, to summarize video, to do things like that. I noticed a little inaccuracy on the back end of the council recap video this week about the airport decision and the conversation we had. It's not a criticism, but I'm curious about how you're thinking about that in terms of alleviating staff time and risk and those sorts of things. I noticed an AI-generated podcast studio image. It's a more philosophical conversation as we consider these pieces than any kind of criticism or anything like that. So don't take it that way.
Yeah, no, I don't at all.
Okay.
So, yeah, good question. I actually was pretty transparent about LPM's AI usage 2 weeks ago when I was on a panel at Longmont Library around AI. So we do use AI quite a bit internally for a variety of different things, from script production to editing. So Too Long Didn't Watch is generated by us taking a transcript, combine and using AI to shorten it. And then we do review it, make a video out of it, and then publish it. There's other uses that we use AI for, newsletters. We did use it for the fundraiser that we're currently doing, more of to give an idea of what it could look like, and I think we were transparent about that. Yeah. So yeah, we do use it a fair amount. I encourage my staff to use it. We use it for all kinds of other internal tooling to improve our workflows, and I could spend a lot more time going into it if you
No, I was curious. I assumed that was the case, but I just wanted to ask. Thanks so much. That's all I got.
Yep.
Councilmember Christ.
Thank you, Mayor. Lindsay, your council communication says this contract currently costs $210,750. So that's actually 2025's contract price.
That would be 2026.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I forget what year we're in. So that's what we're paying currently. So what would the new contract cost? And do you have a factor that you're going to use each year? I'm wondering if that should be stated, you know, for instance, 3%, or we've been, especially with our rates and charges discussion, we've been talking about CPI versus inflation. Turns out that in July they were the same rate, which was about 3.5%. So just wondering what your thought is for that, and if you have any structure.
Councilmember Christ, I'll take that one. We have not negotiated that at this point. The council needs to decide whether this is the direction we want to go with the contract first, and then we would make that negotiation.
Okay, so that's not a negotiation that council has to weigh in on.
Correct.
It's something that you're going to do.
Correct. What we're looking for is the meat of where do you want for this contract to go. That's kind of where your role is in this whole process, and then we handle all the paperwork.
Okay, I would like to see some factor for each year, whatever seems fair, and that is agreeable to LPM.
And Councilmember Christ, I should be clear that once a contract is agreed upon, you do have to approve it. This is one contract
Correct.
that you do approve. So we would finish our negotiations, have those discussions, and bring this contract back, as well as the lease for the Carnegie Building, back to council. It's a weird one because council is usually completely out of those purchasing decisions, but in this case, it's particularly exempted from the purchasing code.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure that was on our radar, so it's in my notes. And then one of the other questions I have is in this minor changes area, explicitly include drone photo/videography within scope. First of all, does this have anything to do with fireworks?
No, it does
she
not.
got you.
You got
It's on my bingo. But it did make me think about it because of the drone show. And then, what do you mean within scope? I just wanted some context with what that meant.
Sure. So the contract for 2026 does not include drone photography or videography within the contract. So if we needed to request drone photography or videography from LPM, it was going to be part of the sort of a la carte or ad hoc hours. And that's coming up just frequently enough that I think it makes sense to build that into the contract so that we're just covered for some of those drone photography and videography requests.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so are you going to add on to that portion of the contract since there would be extra?
Yeah. So that would be part of the negotiation, is understanding what.
Or part of the current city hours.
Or part of the current city hours, right?
Yeah. And then I also wondered when there's changes, add-ons or changes or, you know, some of these minor changes that we're talking about here, is there a cost either to the city or to LPM? For instance, is there a cost if they miss something, or is there a cost if you have to add on something that you hadn't thought of?
There would be certainly costs with any sort of add-on. And in the current contract, we had built in the hourly cost for those additional requests. So I think we would maintain something along those lines in this updated contract to make sure that we're covered for these requests that come in. We had 25 hours in the current contract with LPM. And so we had a built-in add-on hour so that if we had a request that we needed to fulfill that was beyond those 25 hours, we would be able to request LPM if they had the ability, if they had staff to do that, we would be paying that additional charge for those hours. So I think we would obviously maintain that to make sure that we're covered with our partner. Hopefully that
and just
answers
to
the
be clear
question.
on that 25 hours is in addition to all the council meetings, all the board meetings, all the other things in the contract. I don't want you to think that it's this money for 25 hours.
Correct, and I kind of remember that in the presentation. So my other question is, how'd we do? Was 25 hours enough?
Yeah, we've been able to, July's a hot month with July 4th, but I believe up to date, we've managed to stay within the 25 hours, though we're doing, I think, a pretty good job of using a lot of those hours this year. So, and I expect that to continue to grow just with more events and more opportunities at the city.
Right, so as that maybe grows out of 25 hours, you would have a price point for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just trying to get the lay of the land,
Yeah.
and thank you, ladies, for presenting that.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Popkin.
Oh, great. Well, seeing no other mics on, I was actually going to, do you want a formal motion for this?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Then I was going to make a motion to approve council option 1 to continue the contract with small changes and include the adjustments that staff recommended.
Second.
Okay, so the motion has been made to approve the, where's the language? Oh, to continue the contract with the small changes as recommended. The motion was made by Councilmember Popkin, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem McCoy. Seeing no one in the queue, let's go ahead and vote. Or not. Yours didn't even pop up. Refresh it? Yeah. Oh, hand vote. Okay, can we get a verbal vote? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed. So that carries unanimously. Great, thank you. Okay, so we are now on to mayor and council comments. Do we have any comments from council members? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I just wanted to thank the city staff that drove us, the fire department that drove us all around at the fair parade. It was wonderful. And I also want to thank them for tonight's activity. This is so cute.
We need to
There was
zoom
two
in.
pin.
Yeah.
I got one. Oh. Seriously? Okay, I got one of each, and they were so cute. Of the policemen and firemen, they were handing these out, and they at the
Parade?
National Night Out event at Dry Creek Park. And so, I mean, they just are just so cute. Look at those heads. Anyhow, so I just wanted to thank the police and fire and all the participants at the National Night Out, and thank staff for everything they do to help support us in activities like that.
Okay, great, thank you. Councilmember Kalkoffer.
Thank you, Mayor. There's two things that I want to bring up pretty quick. So over the weekend, as resident noted, I did have a block party on my block, and the process to do that was through community and neighborhood resources, and it's super easy to do, and you can block off your street. And the Public Works will come by and drop off all the signage to block off your street, and you can have a party with your neighbors. And I do a lot of posting on different services on Nextdoor, and a lot of people in the community forget that this program's there. And if your community doesn't belong to an organized community group, then you can also get some money too. So either $75 for small ones or up to $250 that the city gives you towards throwing a block party to better get to know your neighbors. So super cool. Had a lot of fun, even though it was hot. The other thing that I experienced yesterday, and I'm honored and privileged that I get to sit in this seat and be able to do a lot of ride-along. So I was able to do a ride-along with Officer Mendelson yesterday, and that was very eye-opening, and I really appreciated him taking me along. And I saw how he, at least him, how he operates. And there was 2 calls that he had that he de-escalated the situations rather quickly and very professionally. And I was really honored to witness him interact with the unhoused and knowing them by name and checking in on them and making sure that they had a place to go when it was going to be really hot. So I was really honored and proud to see him in action. And then also we got to shoot radar, and that is a process that I'm not a fan of because it took 20 minutes of somebody's day when they were trying to get back to work. And unfortunately, we have a speeding problem and a crash problem, and we do have to control how people are operating through our town. So in my personal opinion, I see the benefit of these speed cameras that have been getting a lot of media attention. And instead of this person having 20 minutes taken away from their day, a $40 ticket with no points is a little bit easier of a warning to tell people to slow down. So really appreciate the ride along, and yeah, really proud to be here.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Popkin.
Thank you, Mayor. We've had a lot of discussion around sales tax revenue, property tax revenue, kind of redevelopment, kind of the future growth of the First and Main area. And I just wanted to note that the working group on the MUIR zone that I asked council I informed council that I wanted to do to engage with some of Ward 2 residents is meeting for our third workshop this Sunday. And we'll have 2 more in this series. That's a cumulative effort, so we're building on the topics as we go. If anyone's curious about, I do intend to kind of pull together some of the takeaways from that at the end of that, but if anyone's curious how it's going, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to sit down and share. Certainly the more we activate the spaces that we already have within the Center River community, the more we're increasing our tax base. And that very much plays into a lot of the core service conversations that we're having in the revenue structures. So just wanted to share that if you're interested in digging in. Secondly, I did want to just acknowledge, Mayor, I fully respect the time that staff spends responding to this. And I have repeatedly shared with them that I don't expect a long response when I ask certain questions via email and in person. And so I just wanted to note that, I do appreciate that the dynamics that presents. And I generally defer to staff as to respond as they deem optimal in those situations. And if that's a conversation we should have, I'm more than happy to have it with any single one of our members or our staff. Okay. So I just want to note that I very much respect the time and the effort that goes into it. And that is something I continue to have a conversation with them about. I think that is all I had. Thanks.
Okay. Great, thank you. And I do have a few things I want to share. One of the updates for council is, we had our Platte River Power Authority board meeting last Thursday, and we did get an update. So we've been had some work sessions on our work session on our strategic plan. So the last one that was documented was 2023. When I looked at the people who were on the board at that time, we have a whole new board. So there's been a complete turnover of the 4 mayors as well as the 4 city representatives who sit on that. So at that time, the strategic initiatives were community partner and engagement, resource diversification, planning and integration, workforce culture, and process management and coordination. So those were more of the initiatives. And then as we look at the outcomes of our work session, priorities of the 4 mayors and the 4 city staff individuals, as we discussed, we were really looking at, and one area that really came up it was on all of our minds, was affordability for the ratepayer and the cost pressures to operate. And a lot of it, there's impact that filters down from the federal government. We had plans to close the coal plant. There was an executive order to keep it open, so that's outside of our control. And there was, I don't know if you all are getting these emails, but I am getting around the 5 gas plants. Some people were referring to them as plants. We have the 5 natural gas, the gas aeroderivative turbines. So that essentially that ship has sailed. There's no the prior board had approved that. The contracts were already written up. The final was last. I think the final part of it voted on was the end of last year. So, and so I'm seeing, and as I'm reading some of these emails, there's a lot of misinformation going out. And the other thing is that a couple of the people who are currently suing the state and Platte River Power Authority to put a stay on those permits, it's in the middle of litigation. So I'm not responding to any of those emails because it is in the middle of litigation and I sit on the board. So, but just know that, as I'm reading through some of these emails there's a lot of misinformation going out on them. And so that's, there is a concern in that regard. It's coming from the folks, what it appears in a couple of emails that came back to me is that they're actually coming from the people who are in the lawsuit. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on with that. I just am looking at the the organization as a whole. I am a board member of Platte River Power Authority, so looking at that entity, separate from the city, but just looking at that organization in and of itself, and then the impacts that filter down to the 4 owner communities in Longmont. All 4 of the mayors have we've expressed grave concern around affordability for the ratepayers. So what can we do moving forward that would alleviate those cost pressures? So, when we hear, well, you're not doing anything about affordability. We are, but it's just not being, like, there's other ways that it's happening behind the scenes to ensure. And, little things like the rebate that Councilmember Prieto brought up early on. So there's these little actions that we are taking throughout that are having greater impact to support affordability for our community. So it's, it's just, there's a whole gamut that we're looking at here, and it's not just one facet, and it's also looking at how everything is so interconnected. So affordability was one. Supportive and aligned efforts related to communications and engagement. So when we are looking at our goals, so I didn't know this, but only 2 of the cities had that climate emergency hitting the 2030, a 100% renewable by 2030. 2 of the other 2 owners did not, municipalities did not. So how can we, as the 4 cities, get better aligned, and our role as members of the board, Daryl and myself, communicating that to the rest of council and staff, so, and then we come back together, convene, and so there's a plan and process of how each of us will be then coming back, reporting out to you all, to the councils, bringing those priorities and feedback, and then coming back to the board, the PRPA board, in looking at what our goals and objectives. So big picture stuff. And then, again, with communications and engagement for our ratepayers, for our residents, and then closer alignment between Platte River Power Authority and the owner community carbon goals. So that's going back to that resolution that the City of Longmont made and City of Fort Collins made, but the other 2 did not. So really, if we can align better on what our own community goals are and how that can play in the bigger picture of Platte River Power Authority. And then, we are interested in metrics and reporting to ensure progress. So looking at filling in some of those gaps. So no, it was a great work session. There's going to be opportunities for council members or even members of the public to provide input as we work on our strategic plan. So providing recommendations as well. And then, so that's that realm. And we can talk about it later. I was trying to be the last one to speak. So on all this, get out of there, get out of there. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was in response to some comments we've heard about public safety and our core team, our STAR team. So when I go to National League of Cities or even the National Education Association. So I've done presentations for other educators as well who are struggling with, we have this SRO program, we want it out, this, that. And then I start explaining what Longmont is doing and what Longmont has been doing. And I'm thinking about it from, I have a daughter who survived suicide. We've called the police. I have a son who's diagnosed autism and now schizophrenic. We've called the police. When they've come out, the level of de-escalation, not just for my children, but for me, because I'm a hot and heated person. I'm like, what's happening? And I'm very passionate. And so I see that. So yes, they're uniformed, but the level of humanity and compassion and understanding of de-escalation, like I've learned, and that I have incorporated even in my classroom as I'm thinking about engaging with students who are dysregulated. The other thing is when I first got on council back in 2019, we were looking at our SRO contract with the district. And I asked some questions, and it was really to, like, hey, district, you know, because I see what's happening in the inner workings, and, you know, again, it's like, I'm surprised I'm not fired yet, but I'm like, some of the stuff I say out of my mouth. But, yeah, knock on wood, not tomorrow. I really wanted to, like, okay, district, you know, help us out, because there's a perception. What's the reality? What are the steps in place that we can be a better collaborative team between the city of Longmont and the school district? And questions weren't able to be answered, so I did not feel comfortable voting on that. Well, let me tell you, I got a lot of emails and calls from parents, prior parents from Loma Linda Elementary. You know, like, that has closed long ago, but back when I was a first grade teacher, it's now Timberline. So Timberline used to be Loma Linda Elementary and Heritage. So back in the day, I mean, that was so, like, it was from years ago, like, people that I had totally, like, had been out of my life for a long time. They call, Maestro, what are you doing? Don't get rid of, their kids are at Skyline. And, you know, don't get rid of our SROs. My kids really need it. It's a positive influence. So understanding the people that they're servicing are very supportive and grateful to have these programs and networks intact. And so, you know, I want us to be careful and mindful of that, of who it's impacting. And I'm a customer. And so there was a period of time where we were a regular customer. So it's, I'm just gonna be honest. And I've been appreciative of how folks have come to our door and worked with my family and myself. And, you know, so I do feel passionate about supporting our core services, because it's not just fire, it's not just police, but it's core, it's all the other integrated services that happen. So I want us to also be cognizant of that public safety encompasses a huge umbrella that work directly with community and are greatly valued by some of our most marginalized and struggling, vulnerable populations. So, and then I'm going to end on a happy note. Last Saturday, we attended the Longmont Sister Cities dinner in collaboration with, or, you know, we had the Northern Arapaho were not able to attend, but we got to hear Rachel speak about and some of the students who went to the reservation got to speak a little bit about their experiences. But we did have the Japanese delegation and the Mexican delegation from Ciudad Guzman, and their city council person, Marisol, who I learned is also an educator. So she's a teacher by day and city council person by night. So that was very exciting. We got along very well. But they provided us with some gifts, and I wanted to share with you all. I hope, and we will have these at somewhere in the Civic Center. But yeah, so the Zapotlan El Grande, Gobierno Municipal. So they had their, their Árbol de Zapotlan El Grande. Okay, so, and they had their artwork. So this handcrafted piece eloquently encapsulates two emblematic features of our municipal identity: the serene laguna, the Zapotlan El Grande, and the imposing Nevado de Colima. And so it's this hand sculptured clay. And so we'll have that displayed. So it's very beautiful. And then the other one, and this is a big one that I might need help with, and maybe we can come around to the front for the public. Oh yeah, thank you. You want to come around the front? Since you're already standing, I'll just grab you. Since you're standing anyways. So this was from
you got it?
the Japanese delegation. Oh, let's put it in the camera so they can see that. And they did comment, where did they have our Longmont flag somewhere?
Right up here.
Oh, right over here on this side. So we might have to work to change that. I don't know if you all can see that. So we'll get that hung up somewhere too. So it's very exciting.
Or we'll just make it all blue and white.
So thank you for engaging me a lot on my mind. Okay, so now we're on to city manager report.
Mayor and Council, we actually do have a quick report. Teresa was able to pull together some numbers to give you a sense on what that would look like on the options, and then you'll see it in council comms. So Teresa, if you can come up and really quick, just let them see kind of what that looks like. The adjustments, we just wanted to give you a sense real quick.
Thank you, City Manager Dominguez. Mayor and Council, Teresa Malloy, Chief Financial Officer. So I wanted to provide you ahead of next week and the ordinances coming back, the two additional options that the mayor proposed this evening. So what you have up here is the sales tax and the property tax for the 50-50 split, and then what it would be for the 60-40 split, as well as the 70-30 split.
Okay. Oh, here.
So anyway, we just really quickly wanted to let you get some eyes on it. Teresa's spreadsheets are awesome, so it's a pretty easy adjustment for her to figure out. This will be in the packet. Just wanted to show it to you really quick.
Okay.
Other than that, I have no more comment.
Okay, great. And now we're on to, well, we've already passed council comments. Can you, on this one, okay. Okay.
More. Thank you so much, Teresa, for putting this together. A quick request / question. If in the council comm, in addition to the individual home value assessment, if we could get the rough commercial valuation as well on what the impact would be for the 4 mills, 3.25, 2.44 mills on commercial property as well.
I will work on that.
Oh,
for
Would be awesome.
You bet.
Thank you.
Okay, city attorney remarks. Oh, whoops. Okay, yes.
Just the same thing in the update for next week. If you're able to clarify if those different splits actually add up to the same amount projected, that would be very helpful.
I can definitely add that in the council comm. I can tell you this evening, it is the same dollar amounts.
Interesting. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. City attorney remarks.
No comments, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And so, yep, we have a motion to adjourn. All those in a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Oh, yeah. Shame, yeah. It's not after 12. Okay, we are adjourned. Okay.